is running out. We've got 5 laps to go. Huffman and Vincent battle it out for the lead. Meanwhile, Chad Cole dukes it out for second as they go into turn 2.
Landon Huffman coming to a comfortable lead, coming out of 2. He's got about 8 car lengths. Put it half a second over the wing distance as Chad Cole walks the number 2 spot.
And the winner in race number 1 of the chase for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Championship and the Bob and the Racing made in $400 will be Landon Huffman in his Chevrolet 65. Huffman goes to 1. The road to $10,500 in the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship begins tonight. It's the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series live on ETV Live. Good evening, my name is Tim Terry, joined by Mike Conti and JD Laird in the booth. Our pre-race show here going to discuss what's about to happen here at Daytona. Green flag is just about 40 minutes away, and we want to welcome our pit reporters as well, Dakota Ehrman, Mike Keaton, and of course JD Webb and John Wessling in the production hall are running all those important buttons for us to get on the air this evening. Mike, you know the pressure of this Pro Series. What are these guys thinking going in to these final couple of minutes before they hit that qualifying session?
It's incredibly difficult going into your first race. I remember running this series myself last year, just like it was yesterday. We started off at Texas, and I know the team, all we did was work on qualifying, and we tried to perfect the setup as much as possible. And tonight, these guys have to deal with a completely different beast, which is Daytona. Qualifying times are going to be so close tonight, probably separated by thousandths of a second. So your pole winner to second place, back to 20th, they're not going to be separated by lots. So these guys are really hunkering down, and they're trying to get every last piece of time out of that setup. So they're really stressed right now. All these guys, the crew chiefs, the drivers, the spotters, they're all really having a hard time trying to keep their head in this, but they have to just take a deep breath before tonight, pull those seatbelts tight one more time, as Larry Mack would say, and go out there and run a good race tonight and get their season started off well.
A man that might not know a whole lot of his voice, but you do see his painting on the iRacing circuit. It's JD Laird of JD Air Graphics here with us for this Pro Series. JD, this is exciting. I know you've talked to a lot of the drivers prior to going racing here this evening. What do you think they're thinking going into this? Obviously, that top 25 ticket to get into next season's Drivers' World Championship is big, but what else are these guys saying?
If I was a driver right now, I'd be focusing on just nailing a qualifying lap, because Daytona, if you just bobble just ever so slightly, it's going to cost you hundredths of a second, possibly knock you down from the front row to 25th, because this field is going to be so tight based on time. It's pressure's on for qualifying, and then when the race comes on, it's just play it by ear and hope for the best.
And two of the busiest men this evening are going to be Dakota and Mike down on pit road. Guys, what are you looking at here for Daytona? Obviously, one of the big wild cards in this 10-race series.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, not really much in the hands of the drivers tonight. It's really a lot about the spotters. A lot of guys have a lot of spotters out there, and they're really dependent on them to guide them through the mess that is Daytona, Keaton.
Yeah, and guys, I'm looking for the excitement coming off turn 4, getting down on pit road. That's where it's going to be crucial tonight. These guys coming off at high speed, getting woed up, getting those gears changed down to getting pit road. Going to be tricky. Hope to not see a caution down on pit road here tonight, guys.
Now let's start looking at this field before we do go racing here this evening, and we have a little bit of time, so let's go through this. Let's begin with 2012 Season 1, and of course, you qualify into this series through the Class A series, or if you're in the bottom half of the Drivers' World Championship, finished outside of the top 25, you're going to be in this series trying to re-qualify for 2013. We have 54 drivers. We'll get through the math as we go through here. We have 9 drivers in this series from Season 1. I say 9, 10 qualified, but you look at that second place spot. It's Jason Karlovich. He made his way through the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship this season and squeaked his way in at Homestead. He does not have to run this series, history-making in 2012. So you have Jarrett Crawford out in front of Season 1, Adam Gilliland, Casey Malone, Philip Geis, Richard Doucette, Dylan Duval, Brandon Schmidt, Kyle Gatula, and Kenneth O'Keefe. When I look at this list, guys, I see one name out of those 10 that has not raced a Drivers' World Championship race in the last 12 months, and that's Kenneth O'Keefe. Everybody else has had a shot at the big series. Does this give them an advantage maybe going in? And who do you see here as possibly the guy to watch for this Pro Series championship?
No, I'm really looking at Jared Crawford, Tim. He had a strong Season 1 2012, and when he did run the NISWC races, when time permitted, he was definitely a threat, along with his teammate, like we mentioned, Jason Karlovich, who was able to work his way up into the NISWC without having to run the Pro Series. So that whole Wheelmen Incorporated team, that being Jared Crawford, Jason Karlovich, and Rich Doucette, those 3 made it in Season 1 right there. Those guys are going to be tough all season long. Now, Kenneth O'Keefe, he didn't run any DWC races this year, but he did run a few Pro Series races last year as he contended for it. Unfortunately, he missed it. So he does have some experience in this series. This is going to be his second time trying to make it into the Niswick. So Kenneth doesn't have the experience of a DWC race this season, but he has the experience of a Pro Series race, which a lot of these other guys do not have.
It's going to be interesting just to see how this top 10 works, because the top 10 that made it in Season 1 looks pretty stacked. Kenneth O'Keefe being the one guy that didn't run a DWC race, as you guys said. So it'll be interesting how he runs with the competition. But I completely forgot what I was going to say, but it's going to be pretty stacked.
And when you look at Season 2, now you mentioned that stacked in Season 1. Season 2, you have 10 other drivers that might have barely missed it in Season 1. We start with Joshua Gerald, and actually we're going to talk about Joshua in a few moments' time, because there was an incident in Season 3. He's not going to be racing this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. We'll get to that in a moment. Cody Bias, Alex Chambrone, Jeremy Thornton, Brandon Cattell, Chad Lawton, Yuka Savalainen, Rob Ackley, Derek Crone, and Matthew Moose. See a couple of names there that made a couple of starts in that NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship this past season. Cattell really has come to life here in the past year or so, winner in the GSRacing.net Truck Series. Cody Bias has shown that he can hang with those guys in the select starts that he made earlier this season in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Yuka is always a driver to watch. One of the European drivers looking to make a big splash here. Matthew Moose is a former NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship full-time driver. There's a couple of names here. We mentioned that first season is stacked, guys, but there's a couple of names here that could very well surprise and maybe contend for wins.
Yeah, you look at Jeremy Thornton, and he's part of that Sim Chassis Brigade, which we saw do so well at the end of the DWC season. And for everything, I mean, they were good the whole season. They came on really strong at the end, so look for Thornton to be strong right there. They definitely have the setups to put him up front. You look at Brandon Cattell, he's been on a couple different teams since Season 2. I think he's found a home, and I think he's going to be strong if he can keep it under him. Chad Lawton. I mean, Chad Lawton was the surprise story coming out of Season 2. If you don't know too much about Chad already, Chad was predominantly a NASCAR 2003 driver. That's what he cut his teeth on, and that's what he was doing up until about, I'd say about 8 months ago now. He found his way onto iRacing, and quickly, within, I believe, 2 months of joining the service, he made it into the A-Class Series and won the Division II championship, and I believe is the only driver in this Pro Series qualifying format that's ever made the Pro Series out of a Division II championship. So Lawton definitely surprised everyone, and after that he's run some DWC races. He's been strong there. He's run a lot of Class A races, a lot of the big strength of field races. He's been strong there as well. So Lawton, along with his teammates, is definitely going to be a force to reckon with. You mentioned Matt Moose has the experience of DWC races. He wasn't in it last year, but I'm sure he's looking to get back into it this year. Juka, that's going to be a good story if he can get in. A lot of people like Juka. I've seen him around a lot. He's been trying to get into the NISWC for so long and has just missed it by a little bit every time, it seems like. So we're going to have to see if he can pull it through. And like you said, there's a bunch of other good names in Season 2. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I mean, really, you look at Season 1 and Season 2, I believe your champion is going to come out of one. I believe your champion is going to be one of those 20 drivers. I can be pretty confident in saying that, I think.
And I believe JD just stepped away for a few moments' time, but that's a list that's going to be really tough to contend with. Guys down on pit road, you've seen those first two lists. There's a lot of big names there to digest. Who are you guys seeing out of those first two lists that could very well walk away with this championship?
Well, you always have to take a look at Jared Crawford. Anywhere you go, Jared Crawford's name usually at the top of the board. I think we knew that at the Friday Night Showdown when he raced. He was always fast, and he's a guy that you're really going to want to watch this season unless he did dominate the first season.
Guys, I really think Last Row Motorsports has something really special here, especially at Daytona. Joey Brown, that's who I'm calling out. This guy put down a practice Q lap in the 6s, in the 7s. So I'm expecting this team, but Joey Brown to take this championship home with him, get into that DWC, and make a name for himself. Terry?
And let's transition now into that third season, and as Mike mentioned down there on pit road, Joey Brown leads that list. But then you have a couple of drivers that are there that could very well make a splash. Dustin Montgomery, and I've been talking to some people inside that NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and I asked who could really be a dark horse this season, and they pinpointed Dustin Montgomery as that driver that could very well shock us in 2012-2013. Landon Huffman, Jarl Tyen, we have Carson Downs, Matt Booth, Peter Bennett, Jason Burstein, who's made a return back a couple of seasons ago. He was a NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship driver, now back in the seat. Brad Mayhar has the star by his name. There's a little bit of a story going on there. We tied it in with Joshua B. Gerald. We'll mention that in a second. Danny Hansen was the 10th driver in, and then Benjamin Burmeister makes his way in. And Mike, I'll let you elaborate on this a little bit. Brad Mayhar, Joshua B. Gerald. There was a little bit of a controversy in one of the Thursday night races that threw out Joshua B. Gerald's pro license, that threw out the pro license of Brad Mayhar, and now Benjamin Burmeister is the benefactor. He gets into the series.
Well, I mean, this kind of antics that Josh Gerald and Brad Mahar showed, I think you can go back to about a year and a half ago now, maybe 2 years. John Adams and Mitchell Hunt, I believe it was those two guys right there, they did a good old little switcheroo during a qualifying race, and they were ousted on that. And they both lost the ability to run for pro for quite some time. Now we see John Adams running competitively in the NISWC, won a pro race, and an NISWC race at at Pocono, so he's rebounded. But Mahar and Gerald, the bottom line is Mahar was really close on points, and I think he got nervous, and I think he wanted to ensure himself some good points in the final week at the Motegi racetrack over in Japan. And I'm guessing that Gerald must have had a little bit better race pace, and those guys said, okay, well, Gerald, you go up under Mahar's account, and get a good solid finish in Thursday night so Mahar can drive it possibly Sunday night and maybe try to get some more points, but really the pressure wouldn't be on if Gerald could deliver a decent finish Thursday night. And unfortunately, through some big mouths and some big ears, it got back to some of the officials, and Mahar and Gerald are now two less drivers in the Pro Series. Gerald, again, was your Season 2 Class A Series champion. So again, he was going to be a big threat. Even on his new team over at Gary Mercer Trucking Inc., I think he was still going to have a good solid run. Now, what does that mean for Benjamin Burmeister? Now, Burmeister, really sad story for him. Season 1 and Season 2, he missed it by less than 5 points each time. In Season 3, it wasn't going to be any different, as him and Danny Hansen had a battle down to the wire. I believe he was going to miss it by 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around that. So when Gerald and Mahar got the call to sit out of the Pro Series, that put Benjamin Burmeister right back into it. So Burmeister, with a little bit of luck right there, but he also had himself positioned well. Burmeister is your 10th and final driver in this Pro Series. So we're going to have to look out for him. He had a little bit of a rough time at the end of that A Series, had a couple wrecks, a couple controversial moves on his part, but if he can just keep his head under him, this pretty much goes for everyone else. If they can just keep their heads under them, they're going to have a good season. I mean, you look down this list now, Joey Brown, Dustin Montgomery, I mean, they were fast. I mean, I said that I thought the champion would come out of Season 1 or Season 2. I'm going to stick by that, but they're definitely going to have to go through Joey Brown or Dustin Montgomery to get that championship. Landon Huffman, a regular on ETV Live at RSR. He's going to be good. Jarl Tyan, he's going to be fast as well. Carson Downs and Danny Hansen, both on Jay's show, so they're going to be good. They have Matt Boosa, Peter Bennett, a couple guys that really quietly worked their way up into Season 3 standings right there, so they're going to be good as well. Like you mentioned, Tim, Jason Burstein, always a force to be reckoned with. So, I mean, we've got a lot of good drivers, and Season 3 was just as tough to get in as any other season. So it really came down to the wire once again, and a lot of these guys in Season 3 are trying to prove that they can run with these guys that made it in Season 1 and Season 2, and they're going to have the chance to do that tonight.
And if you're new to the iRace service, sharing accounts is frowned upon. It's in the sporting code. You're not allowed to do it, and that's why those two got thrown out. Qualifying, just getting ready to get underway here. And Mike, I know there's special rules for these super speedway qualifying sessions, and just want to touch on it here a little bit. There's different nuances, I guess, that you can do if you are qualifying in iRacing compared to, let's say, a Daytona 500 Super Speedway NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. There's a couple of things that they can do to enhance their run, per se, enhance their lap, that they can't do. Officials are going to be busy here in these next couple of minutes.
Yeah, there's going to be, some people call it exploiting, some people call it cheating, some people just say, well, hey, you're doing what you got to do, and I'm kind of on the fence about it. What they're going to be doing tonight, or what they would want to do tonight, but they're not going to be allowed, is at a super speedway, there's a couple things you can do. One thing is to drop the clutch and burn the rear tires off of it as much as you possibly can. Somehow that heats the rear tires up, and overall you get a lot more speed on your qualifying run. Another thing is you can do circles in the grass. That'll make the sim think that you already completed a couple laps, which again will make your time better. Another thing is some people will pull up to the wall and try to burn the tires down, and that will really give them a big advantage. But the officials are going to be looking for all this stuff tonight, so if anyone tries to pull any of these stunts, they're going to be removed, and they're not going to be racing tonight. So these guys, they can't do anything stupid. They have to qualify in fair and square. No funny business allowed, as the iRacing officials see it. You have to just run your lap and run it clean. Don't do anything stupid. And I don't suspect that we'll see anyone do that tonight. I know DWC 2012 season with Daytona, no one did that, and these guys are going for that kind of prestige in DWC, so I don't think they want to tarnish it by doing something funny tonight in the season opener.
And we mentioned earlier, 54 drivers have pro licenses, or back stripes, as we call them on the iRacing service, to try to qualify for this race. I'm seeing one qualifier up at 38 drivers. There might be some drivers that could possibly want to start at the rear of this one with Daytona. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm sure we'll find out in the first couple of laps of the race. Let's look at the bottom 26 for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship from last season. And there's a lot of big names here. We start with Josh Connors, and Josh Connors was the first driver to not make the series through last season's NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. He missed the cut by only 13 points, and now he sits back with Thomas Hazard, Jake Sturgis, Brandon Bookberger, Josh Lawton, Vinnie Sansone, Chris Overland, Andrew Fash, Josh Berry, Justin Thompson, Richie Davidowitz, Patrick Fogel, Dylan Duval, Pedro Mojica, and I'm just going down the list of guys that are here that did not qualify into that series. You got guys that only made a couple of starts, like Richard Towler. You got Josh Parker, who's planning on making his return here this evening. The Mohican Missile, Pedro Mojica. There's so many names here that if they do decide to run for the championship and run for that golden ticket, per se, to get into the top 25, they could very well be shaking the ground a little bit trying to make it there.
These guys, they probably aren't too happy that they missed out on a great chance to lock themselves in for next season. So you're going to see that bottom 26 of Josh Berry, Thomas Hazard, Jeremy Allen, everyone that you mentioned, Tim, they are going to be working their socks off trying to get back into the series if they do indeed want to be in the DWC next year. I know we got a couple guys that really, I'm not sure if they want to be in it next season. We're gonna have to. Tonight will be a telltale sign of their maturity and see what they want to do. But there's a lot of guys down there like Josh Connors, guys like him that do want to get back up into that top level of sim racing here on iRacing, and they're going to be working just as hard as anyone else this season to try to get back up there.
Qualifying is underway, and the time's starting to appear on the board, and I'm seeing 17 of Brandon Bookberger on the top of the scoring pylon right now at a 47.265. Matthew Moose in the number 50, very solid effort. Currently in second, Josh Lawton, top of the board right now, 46.738. So it looks like second laps are starting to come in here now. And we mentioned it earlier, 38 drivers, Mike, and this could be a number of reasons. One of the big reasons being Hurricane Sandy. There's a couple of sim racers that do not have power. I know Rich Doucette is in this server. He's currently in position number 3 on the second lap. He had no power at his home in New Hampshire. He's running via generators, unless they got power back in these last couple of hours. I'm not quite sure, but I know he was practicing earlier in the day using generators.
Yeah, that's some dedication right there. To actually get a generator for this Pro Series, that shows how much Doucette wants to get into it. And I've talked to Doucette quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and him and his whole team, I mean, they are chomping at the bit to try to get into the series. And I know Rich is very serious about this, and you can see it right there, to actually go out and get yourself a generator to be able to run tonight. That's some dedication, and I commend Rich for that. I can't say that I'd do the same thing, but I mean, Rich, he's a good guy, and it looks like he wants to get into this DWC, and he didn't want to use his one and only drop week for Daytona, and that might be a smart move later on in the season if he does indeed have a bad run or something, where he can use it then instead of using it now.
Looking down here at drivers that have qualified, there's a couple of surprises. Currently, it's Joey Brown on the pole. Kenneth O'Keefe will start on the outside. So, and unless somebody pulls out something here in these last couple of seconds, I think that's going to be the completion of the qualifying. Josh Parker, as we mentioned, returning, only running a full part-time schedule last season. Pedro Mojica is in 13th place right now in the qualifying. Vinnie Sansone, one of the mainstays in the series, trying to requalify his way in, position number 30. Paul Kashiba, and we've talked about his demise in that NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, at a great Pro Series, and then had some run-ins in the big series. He's back in 36th place. There's a lot of drivers here that are making their return to possibly full-time sim racing if they can punch their ticket into the top 25.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting tonight to see who can come out on top of this. There's so many great drivers that are going to be vying for this win tonight. You got drivers from the top, or from the bottom 26. You got drivers from season 1s through 3. I mean, this is going to be a great race, and I can't wait to get this thing started. And Tim, I think we have to start playing this up to speed segment. I'm really excited about that. It was a lot of fun making it, and I want to make sure that we get that in before we get this race kicked off.
And we are getting ready to get going here for the first round of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. We're glad you could be with us here at ETV. We'll reset everything up in just a few moments' time. But first, as Mike said, let's get up to speed here on ETV Live.
Car Friday Night Showdown. Track position doesn't mean all that much. We've seen guys come from the back. Welcome everybody to Up to Speed by ETV Live, the first week of the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series. We got a 10-week season coming up here, and the season's going to kick off at the Daytona International Speedway under the lights. So before we get started here tonight, I'm going to take you around this 2-mile track a couple times to show you how a qualifying run is going to look here. The first lap, you're going to see these drivers run way up close to the wall because with the restrictor plates on these motors are really tough to get up to speed. So you want to take the longest way around the track so you can build up as much momentum as possible coming to your timed laps. Right here we're working through 3 and 4 right now, about 185 miles per hour as I come off of turn 4, coming to take my first lap. Now again, this first lap, it's gonna be a throwaway lap. I do not care about this lap. My only goal right now is just to not hit the wall, not do anything stupid to lose any momentum. So as I come into turn 1 and 2 right here, to get really close to the wall, leave a little bit of room just in case it hits one of these Humpty Bumps up here that could send me into it. Don't want to get too close, don't want to start off at turn 2 right here, running at about 190 miles per hour. The motor's slowly taped up. Temperatures are starting to rise, but it's a cool night, everybody. I'm not going to blow up. Got plenty of room for this motor to heat up still and still make power. Through 3 and 4, don't lose a whole lot of speed here at Daytona. You can see by the wheel input, not turn the wheel all that much. The more you turn the wheel, the more speed you're going to lose. 190 miles per hour off of turn 4 here. I come down into the tri-oval. I'm going to cut it down right here. This starts my good lap. About 191 miles per hour coming through this short stretch right here when I get up next to the wall. Going to take it down low into 1 and 2. I want to keep this track as short a distance as I possibly can for this lap. Through turns 2 right here, coming up, I'm going to let the car drift up next to the wall, as little wheel input as possible. Still about 190 miles per hour, 191 as I catch the tailwind down the long super stretch here at Daytona. Into turn 3, going to cut it back down once again, just as I did in 1 and 2. Right next to the yellow line, going to get a little bit of an arc right here so I can get a runoff. And this is where a lot of the drivers are going to make speed tonight. Coming off of turn 4, you're going to cut it down right here through the tri-oval. You're going to cut the tri-oval, you're going to get right next to the grass, and you're going to get a timed lap right there, and hopefully that lap will put you on the pole or somewhere up front. But again, as we see here at Daytona with our B-Car Friday Night Showdown, track position doesn't mean all that much. We've seen guys come from the back and still win this race. So that's qualifying laps for everybody. So that's pretty much what you're going to see tonight when these guys go out to qualify. So like I said, you definitely want to get a good qualifying position, but if you do screw up a little bit, it's not going to make all that much of a difference because Daytona, you never know what's going to happen. Bring Joey Brown in with me right here. Joey Brown was your Season 3 iRacing Class A Series champion. So Joey right here, he's one of the favorites for the Pro Series. Joey, quickly before we get this thing rolling right here, tell me your expectations going into this Pro Series.
Well, we had a really good Season 3 set up here, and I have to thank a lot of my teammates. They helped me through. They picked me up about halfway through the season, and we really meshed well together. So going in the Pro Series, I have nothing but the highest expectations for us.
All right, that's Joey Brown right here, and we're going to go through this lap. As you can see, we're doing that 2-car tandem, 2-car tango, whatever you want to call it, whatever floats your boat. And this tandem is really going to be prevalent in tonight's race. This is what's going to get you your track position. This is how you're going to make up time. And you can see right here, Joey's going to lead me for a few laps. I'm going to follow close behind. I want to tuck right up behind his bumper, and I want to have as little movement as possible along his rear bumper, because the more movement you have, the more you're going to slow each other down. So right here, I'm going to stay a little bit to the right side of him so I don't hook him into the infield. Don't want to stay too far right. As you can see right there, it's really easy to get hooked in that right side of the bumper. As I'm pushing Joey right here, I can't see anything in front of me. I see a big old spoiler right there, and I can't see through his rear windshield, so if something were to happen in front of Joey, I would not know it. So hopefully the person that you're pushing tonight is going to be someone on the same team as you, so you can communicate over TeamSpeak and tell them if something's happening, so you can let them know to check up. That's our first tandem lap right there already. My temperature has risen about 20 to 40 degrees in one lap. So I started out of the pits at about 120 degrees on the oil, and I'm quickly rising to about 210, 220 as we go. So probably by the time that Joey and I get to the start-finish line, we're going to have to make a swap going into the next corner, which will be turn 1 and 2. Going down the backstretch right here, again, our qualifying lap that we did just prior to this, 191 miles per hour down the backstretch with 50% tape on, which is full tape. With minimum tape, which is what everyone's going to be running tonight in the tandem, we're at 202 miles per hour sustained throughout the corner. We'll probably hit about 203 as we get to turn 1. Temperatures aren't as high as I thought. We're about 240 right now, still not blinking red. So we're going to go a little bit further right here, but I'm going to keep everyone updated on where these temps are. Right now, the water and oil are flashing. I have the water on my left side. That's going to be the left gauge here tonight. That's flashing at 280 degrees. The oil still isn't flashing. So I'm going to tell Joey that we're going to swap in turn 3. You're going to see this 12 car up in front of me. He's going to pull up high so I can go under him, and then he's going to tell you how he's going to duck back down behind me and minimize time. So right here, I'm going to go low. Joey's going to go high. I'm going to breathe the motor. The motor gets some fresh air. The temperatures start to come down. Joey's going to come down right here. Now, Joey, when you come down, you really have to be careful to not hook the guy in the right rear bumper, right?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to make a successful swap and a quick swap because you don't want to come down too quickly and hook the car that was pushing you in the right rear quarter panel.
Definitely. So, like you said, if you hook them in the right rear quarter panel, it's probably going to put an end to your race, possibly their race, and, well, a lot of other races behind you. As we've seen a lot in the past couple seasons, these cars are going to be tucked up behind each other. We might see a 43 car pack throughout this race before anything happens. So there's going to be a lot of cars in a short interval of racetrack right here. So as I go through 3 and 4, I know Joey's starting to heat up right now. He was in cool air, so his motor was a little bit cooler than, of course, mine was as I was blinking. He's going to start to heat up. I'm cooling down. My water, which was at 280 a lap prior to this, is now at 210, and the oil's up to 235 right now, and it's starting to fall. So we're going to go a little bit further right here. We're going to show one more swap when Joey goes up under me. He's going to tell me when he needs to swap. I'm going to show you one more swap. I'm going to show you how I tuck back behind someone, show you how I do it, and that'll be it. I mean, Daytona this week, everybody, there's not really a whole lot to this. You really need to know how to judge your car, and you have to be careful in the packs, and you have to manage your temperatures. That's going to be one of the biggest things tonight. You have to manage your temperatures. Joey right here is going to duck out. He's got to get some air as his motor's getting hot. A little bit of a rough swap right there. I'm going to tuck right back in behind him as I get really close to his right rear. He's going to drag the brake just a little bit. We're already tucked up behind each other. That's the kind of swap you want to have. Now right here, we lose a little bit of momentum, but we didn't lose as much as we could have. So it was a pretty decent swap between myself and Joey right there. And if Joey can pull that swap off tonight, everybody, you might see Joey and his teammates up at the front as they're always front contenders. So that's the inaugural episode of Up to Speed presented by ETV Live. We're going to have this segment every week, each week of the 10 weeks. So look back next week. We're going to be at Texas Motor Speedway with Up to Speed with ETV Live. We'll see you there. Enjoy the race tonight, everybody, at Daytona International Speedway.
So we are getting ready for the first race of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Once again, Tim Terry, Mike Conti in the booth, Dakota Ehrman, and Mike Keaton down on pit road, JD Webb, and John Westling pushing all the buttons, making sure that we get on the air here this evening. And we are approximately 7 minutes away from throwing the green flag on this first of 10 rounds. One thing we didn't really mention off the top, Mike, it's a little bit different than last season. Last season, it was 12 straight weeks, and you had a couple of drops in there. Now, we have 10 straight weeks here. We have a couple of weeks off. It's a little bit different than what these guys went through last season.
Yeah, the season is it's a little bit choppier than last year because you do have those 2 off weeks for the holidays. But you know what? It might give these guys a much-needed rest by that point in the season. And, you know, it might make those last couple of races a little bit better because these guys are going to have clear minds and their only focus is going to be on this Pro Series.
And a lot of these drivers are practicing pitting, coming down into pit road, guys. It's down there at the end of pit road. A lot of those guys, I would say probably nearly 24 of them, just came onto pit road to test green flag pit stops. Could this be something we see here this evening?
Well, Daytona is always, it's really close pack racing. What you get is some code issues, especially with the Hurricane Sandy coming through. A lot of guys might have connection issues, especially on the East Coast, and I think they can play a role into a few cautions. But I mean, as far as it goes, if these guys like to race clean sometimes, and if they race clean tonight, they'll be able to get to those green flag pit stops. They're going to be getting on the pit road, like you said. Though it's going to be a problem. That's why they're practicing now.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get onto this pit road tonight. You have to really woe it up from about 200 mile an hour off of turn 4 down to the pit road speed limit of 55 miles per hour. So it's a lot on the brakes, and you want to make sure that you don't slide those tires, because if these guys do make green flag pit stops tonight, they're probably not going to take tires.
We got to go down backside and get our national anthem and pre-race ceremonies underway before we do go racing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's quickly go down our starting grid for this evening's action. We'll get to the first few. We'll get to the rest after we go green. Joey Brown on the front row, along with Kenneth O'Keefe, 73. Third place belongs to Jarrett Crawford in 83. Chris Overland will start in fourth. Matt Whitten, Rich Doucette make up the next row with Carson Downs and Josh Connors completing row at number 4. Completing your top 10, it's Jarl Tyen and Brandon Cattell. Cody Bias, Dylan Duval, Pedro Mojica, Josh Lawton, Adam Gilliland, Dustin Montgomery, Landon Huffman, Brandon Schmidt, Josh Parker, Jeremy Thornton are your top 20. We'll get to the rest in just a few moments' time as the pace car is getting ready to make that hard left-hand turn down onto pit road. 100 laps here at Daytona to kick off the 2012-13 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Joey Brown in control of the field. Kenneth O'Keefe on his outside. Green flag flies and we are underway for round number 1. Look at the start on the outside by O'Keefe. O'Keefe in the 73 going to take the lead early.
O'Keefe's got to be careful then, because if the officials decide, they can give him a black flag for beating the leader to the line. So O'Keefe's going to let off a little bit right here. The 83 is going to start pushing the 12, going to turn number 1 and 2. So the 73 of O'Keefe, he's going to fall back, so no black flag for him. Joey Brown comes out to a 2-car length lead over that 73 car up on the top with help from Chris Overland in the 47. 69 of Matt moves his way into third. Welcome back, Matt Whitten, iRacing. He's coming back from a 6-month hiatus. He's going to get help from Kenneth O'Keefe in the 73. 12 in the 83 right there. Joey Brown, the 83 of Jared Crawford. They're pulling away from the 69 to the 73. You can see that tandem right there, the 12 and the 83. They're going to separate right there as the 83's got to get some air to his nose. Coming to the start-finish line. Lap 1, Joey Brown with the bonus point for leading one lap right there. The 69, the 73, everyone else is going to come up to the back of the 12. 83 at Crawford all by himself on the outside.
Overland now going to charge on the middle as the 83 goes to the outside. 47 has the 96 in tow. 15 is Josh Connors, and 42 of Dylan Duval also on the outside line. It's been 2x2 for the most part here, but when you look back, there's some 3 wide around those changes, as it looks like Doucette going to go to the outside line. Connors now going to go to the inside. 47 going to switch up as well. They are going to fall back, and we're going to see this all night long.
And meanwhile, up front, Matt Whitten has started to push the 12 of Joey Brown. He's going to duck out and get some air. That's going to allow the 97, Carson Downs, to push Kenneth O'Keefe up to the back of the 12 and the 69. They're side by side for the lead right there. Fraction of a second separating your front two. The 73's got nowhere to go. He's got to check up. Now you've got Jarl. You've got the 15 of Josh Connors as they have a big wreck in turns number 1 and 2.
We're going to stack them up in 1 and 2. Caution is out. Austin Montgomery and the 3 car involved in this one, a Brandon Schmidt. They're going to take a couple of more along with them, but I think those are the 2 big impacts in this wreck. There's a couple of drivers there that barely escaped, so a very close call here for a lot of these drivers. We're used to seeing the quote-unquote big one at these super speedways. That could have been a lot bigger than it was.
Looks like Landon Huff's going to get some minor right rear damage right there. A couple cars have some heavy damage in the back. Looks like Andrew Fayesh has a lot of damage on his machine. As you said, Dustin Montgomery with the Tyler Hudson lookalike car right there. He's going to have the majority of the damage after he smacked the wall in turns number 1 and 2 hard with that accident.
So the first caution flag flies of the evening on lap number 3. Your leader is the number 69, Matt Whitten. Joey Brown scored in second. Kenneth O'Keefe, Josh Connors, and Carson Downs scored as your top 5 as the field catches up to the pace car down the back straight away. And that was 8th and 10th place. It could have been a lot bigger than it was, and a lot of these guys, I think, are holding their breath. We got through the first couple of laps. We got through the first caution. Now we might be able to get in and get a rhythm set.
These guys are going to be low, try to get a couple laps under their belts, maybe separate this field a little bit, split into 2 or 3 packs, and try to ride out the middle of this race. They do not want to have cautions every other lap. That's not going to make for good racing, and it's really going to up the chances of having a bigger wreck if everyone's still piled on top of each other, because they can't separate the field because, well, they just keep having caution after caution. So hopefully after this wreck, we'll see a lot of green flag racing. I know these guys are quite capable of it. I've seen their shootout races they've held during week 13. These guys can put on one heck of a show. So hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. But I can't say enough about how these guys avoid wrecks. We see it in the B car series that we do on Friday nights, and we saw it right there. I mean, like you said, Tim, that could have been a major accident, and we only have maybe 1 or 2 cars with some heavy damage. The rest of them have some minor damage. I mean, nothing really that's going to take these guys out of it. So great job to miss that action, and they're going to come on to pit road right here. I'm going to send it down to Mike Keaton and Dakota Herman. They're going to keep us up to date tonight, and send it down to Mike first.
Yeah, guys, a couple of leaders staying out, wondering what's going on, but Joey Brown down pit road, going to take right sides only, get that gas in the tank, maybe make a few adjustments. Josh Berry electing to go through his pit stop.
Hey guys, Matt Whitten, Dylan DeVault, and Chris Everland with the cars to stay out there. Not really concerned with fuel, nothing at this point. Too early to pit yet.
So as these guys work off of pit road, the first caution flag being worked here, and as we have a couple of more minutes, we breeze through the lineup, and usually these guys have 10 minutes for warm-up. This evening, only getting 5 minutes for warm-up caught us a little bit off guard here. I want to go back down 21st through 38th in the starting lineup to see where your favorite driver is running or was running when we threw the green flag. Chad Lawton started in 21st. Peter Bennett started in 22nd. Jeremy R. Allen started in 23rd, and he was the big winner of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship race here at Daytona and was $500 richer for that fact when he won that race. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a few moments' time. Brandon Bookberger was 24th. Matthew Moose 25th. Danny Hansen started 26th. Josh Berry 27th. Jake Sturgis in 28th, the Las Vegas winner from last season's NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Casey Malone, Vinny Sansone started in 30th. Philip Geis, Benjamin Burmeister 31st and 32nd place respectively. Andrew Fayash III, Yuka Savalainen started in position 34. Kyle Gatula 35th. 36, Paul Kashiba, Matt Busa, and Derek Crone completed the first 38 starters in this first race of this series. And the 2 names that pop out at me, Jeremy R. Allen started in 23rd. He's a driver to watch. He won the big race at Daytona to kick off last season's NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and in fact led the points early, was a contender early in the season, but got himself caught up in some, let's say, a little bit of controversy, and he finds himself outside of the top 25 in the points in that last series. And the other name that really stands out at Mike, and you might be able to elaborate a little bit on this, is Kyle Gatula. Last season in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, he got in a little bit of a dust-up with Chris Overland, and the officials really didn't take too kind to that. That was when Gatula was an A-class driver, and now he's trying to really redeem himself in this season.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at Gatula here. I mean, he practically fell off the face of the iRacing earth the past couple months, but it's good to see him back. But as you said, a little bit of a problem between him and that 47 car right there, Chris Overland. They had a problem at Pocono that resulted in Gatula wrecking Overland after the line, and Shannon Whitmore, head official of the NIPS, he didn't like that too much, so they told Gatula, sit out the rest of the season and try again next year. And Gatula's come back better than ever, and never know, he might be another threat for this championship. So look out for Kyle. You mentioned Jeremy Allen. Look for him to be good tonight. Jeremy is pretty much the super speedway master of the DWC. It seemed like he won the Talladega race in 2011, and he won the season opener, the Daytona race in 2012. So I'd be very surprised if you don't see that Jeremy Allen machine up to the front of this race by the end, if nothing happens to him.
And he currently sits in position number 9. We are doubled up and getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. We want to get you in on the conversation here this evening for this race. If you are on Twitter, join us. Of course, ETV Pro is our Twitter handle, but we want you to use the hashtag NIPS Daytona. That's hashtag NIPS Daytona. The most creative tweet going to win 15 iRacing credit, courtesy of JDR Graphics. So once again, NIPS Daytona. I know JD's back there trying to keep track of all those tweets. Pace car in Matt Witten, and Dylan Duval is going to lead this field back to green. Witten has Overland to his back bumper. Green flag flies, and Mike, they are already hooked up on that inside line.
Great start by the Chassis Works teammates right there. The 69 Witten, 47 Overland. They're already in a tandem while everyone else behind them is scrambling to try to find a partner. Duval right there, that's a Gilforce Racing car. He's got the 40 of Josh Lawton behind him, the Wheelman Incorporated team car right there. So a couple different teams up there. J-Show Motorsports for Carson Downs, the 97 Pro Geek machine. He rounds out your top 5. It looks like they're single file through your top 8 right now. The first battle is back here for the 9th and 10th position. You've got Josh Parker on the inside, Jeremy Thornton all by himself on the outside, but no help. And it's going to be very hard to pass anyone tonight without any help, Tim. It seems like you need someone pushing on you to go anywhere here.
Yeah, these guys trying to find a drafting partner in Josh Parker. He's been known as Miss Independent sort of thing in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Really doesn't have a team to work with. As you see the battle for the lead heat up once again, Duval to the inside with help from Lawton. He's going to take the lead away. And so if you're looking for possibly a teammate, especially if you come down to the last couple of laps, whoever's pushing is going to be your teammate for the moment. But maybe some of these guys that don't have a teammate per se up front, they might look to that number 23 as somebody to work with.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at the end of the race, you gotta work with the guy that's closest to you. It doesn't matter if you like him. It doesn't matter if it's your best friend. It don't matter whatsoever. You have to do what you have to do. And another thing these guys are really gonna have to be careful with tonight, whether they're working with a teammate or an outsider, they have to look at their temperatures. We mentioned this a lot in the Up to Speed segment before this race. You have to manage your temperatures. If you get these motors too hot and you get them blinking, you have a very good chance of blowing up. We saw in DWC last year, Derek Wood, one of the favorites going into that race, unexpectedly blew up early on in the going because he blinked that engine too long and he blew up. So these guys have that in the back of their minds, and they're going to have to be careful. You see Josh Lawton pushing Dylan Duval out front right now. They could push like that for maybe a lap or so, but you're going to see the 42 and the 40 are going to perform what we call the swap. The 42 is going to move up the track. The 40 is going to pull under him. You can see the 40 right there, Lawton. He's going to pull out to the right side of that 42 machine to try to get air to that nose, but you see Carson Downs can suck up to these cars really quickly because they are not in a tandem any longer.
Kenneth O'Keefe has the 04 behind him, and O'Keefe is going to come to the front of this field. with Jarl Tynan on the back bumper. Kenneth O'Keefe to the lead in car number 73. But here comes 15, 23, 23, 40 get together, and Josh Parker's going to go for a ride.
Oh, we're going to stack up right here. Oh, and he's going to, okay, so it looks like we're going to have about 3 cars involved in this. The 23 right there, Josh Parker, he's going to start that all off as he gets hooked to the wall going through turn number 1 and 2. Brandon Bookberger in that red, white, and blue machine, that 17 back there, he's going to have some heavy damage. Really, there's one more car. That's Pedro Mojica right there. He's going to have damage as well. So again, Tim Terry, I mean, that really all started with a little bit of wall glue gone wrong right there.
And you look at Pedro Mojica, he got it from all angles. The front end of the JDR Graphic Chevrolet gets it going into the wreck. He gets a little hit from the 31 going in, and then he's going to get turned around by the 17. Great piece of driving to keep it off the wall, but other cars not so much, as he had really nowhere to go. So Mojica and Parker, 2 drivers that had to race their way into this Pro Series by being outside the top 25 in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. They find that their season in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series off to a rocky start here in the first 10 laps.
And you know, we always say that it's not good to get off to a bad start, but I'll talk about myself a little bit right here. You know, last season when I was in this series, we started off at Texas, myself and the aforementioned John Adams. We talked about him a little bit earlier on in the show. We got into a little bit of a problem off turns number 3 and 4, and that put us both on our lids and blown up and out of the race. We both finished back in the pack. But we were able to rebound, and we still finished top 10 points. These guys right here, it's not good that they're getting off to a rough start, but it doesn't mean that their season is completely ruined. They can rebound from this, and I'm sure that they'll start trying to rebound from this next week when we visit Texas. And, you know, a lot of these guys are going to be really good. They're going to see a lot of different names up front. Josh Lawton, we'll see him up front. So, I mean, he's mad right now. He's showing his displeasure over the radio towards Josh Parker, but he's not out of it yet. That 40 car has just as good a shot as anyone else to win this championship.
We have one bone motor, and now we have a bunch of drivers down on a pit road. We'll take it to Dakota. What are you seeing down there as these guys head your way?
First off, Kyle J. Gattulo was the one that actually ended up blowing the engine, 71 car. Dylan DeVoe coming down, he was one of the leaders who stayed out the first caution coming down for fuel, mainly in that machine, and he is away, fuel only.
Yeah, guys, looking at Joey Brown back when that caution came out, just ahead of him. That's where the crash was. Joey Brown got up on the apron, got around him. Pole Sitter Championship Season 3 driver, avoiding the wreck, elected not to come down pit road. He's back up to 3rd spot. He says that he wants to stay there. He doesn't want to be in the mix of things anymore. He's going to stay out front, look for Joey Brown to stay out towards front where Jarl Tynan is and Kenneth O'Keefe.
So there we have the first couple of rounds of pit stops here. Kenneth O'Keefe, Jarl Tynan, Joey Brown, Dylan Duval, Carson Downs the last time by the Stripe Warrior top 5. And there's a couple of drivers up there that are veterans of this sim racing, the iRacing simulation. You talk about Josh Connors, Jeremy Thornton back there as well, has had his trials and tribulations trying to get back up to this series. Andrew Fayash, the third, I see, is up there as well. And Fayash is one of those stories, Mike, that you look at it, and Connors, really, you can bring Connors into this as well. The last couple of seasons, they've been on that top 25 bubble, not only in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, but in this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Fayash, a little bit further off from the top 25 bubble this year than he was last year in the big series. Now he comes into this series really looking to redeem himself and get a little bit of confidence. We talk about in stock car racing, confidence can go a long way. You get a good run, you go into the next week, and you have a little bit to build on in that next week. If it's a track that you don't like, you still have that little bit of confidence. Hey, last week I got that top 5 finish. Now, if you're Andrew Fayash III and you're Josh Connors, you fell out of the big series, but even if you get a good run here at Daytona, it really gives you that shot in the arm going down the stretch here of this 10-race series, saying, I can get back in this series and I can contend for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship.
Yeah, nothing is better than a good start. I mean, we cannot stress that enough. A good start anywhere will propel you to bigger and better things as the season goes on. I mean, for instance, you know, Andrew Fayash, I don't really know the guy too well. I know he's a great guy and all. He's a good racer. I don't know if he likes, let's say, he might not like Texas next week, but that 77 car can find his way up to the front this week. Like you said, Tim, that'll give him that shot in the arm to practice a little bit more next week and try to put something really, really, really good together next week so he can perform to the standards he wants to be at next week and run up at the front, next week. And everyone wants to run up at the front. Andrew Fay, actually, he's going to get to the front. Just a little bit of luck.
And especially here at Daytona, luck can play into this and pay dividends when we throw the checkered flag. We are still a long ways away from throwing that checkered flag. We are on lap number 13 as the field is doubled up down the back straightaway, getting set to go back to green flag racing. Kenneth O'Keefe, Jarl Tynan, Joey Brown, Jake Sturgis, Carson Downs, your top 5. Dylan Duval in 6th, Josh Connors in 7th, Andrew Fayash the 3rd and 8th, Jeremy Thornton in 9th, and completing your top 10 is car number 50 of Matt Moose.
I'm going to send it down to pit road right now. I think we got an update down there.
Yeah, Josh Parker, guys, pulled that machine behind the garage. Also, Kyle Kutula as well. Danny Henson, guys, a little bit of electrical problems. He's not on the track right now, so 3 guys off pace, big time.
Right now, up front, guys, I just want to spotlight Kenneth O'Keefe before we get going here. It's a 17-year-old out of Ontario, Canada, is going to be leading them down to the green flag. Like we mentioned, this is O'Keefe's 2nd shot trying to get into the SWC, and he's starting off really well as he's going to lead him down the green flag on lap 14.
And on the outside, you got Jarl Tynan from the Scandinavia Club. So we have an international front row leading us back to green. O'Keefe on the inside, Jarl on the outside. He's got an opportunity if he wants to come down behind O'Keefe. I believe he will here. And now you see Joey Brown to the outside looking to possibly team up with somebody else as Carson Downs looks like he has found Josh Connors, the Poltergoose in the 15.
Yeah, Carson Downs has lost his teammate, as Keaton said. Danny Hansen with the electrical problems, he is out of the server. He just got back in right now. So that 97 car lost his teammate, so he's going to have to try to find someone else right now. I know Carson has a strong connection with the MCR bunch, Tim. That 15 is on the MCR team, so look for them to work together for the remainder of this race if Danny Hansen can't get back up to the front.
Hansen back in the server, but not back on the racetrack as of yet, so watch for that to come through. He may need a couple of Lucky Dog awards to get back on the lead lap. 97.15, they got a great run on your top 2. Can they do anything with it? 15.97 become a little bit disengaged through the tri-oval. That'll let the 73 continue to lead this field. Lap 15 being worked on the big board as we go into corner number 1.
At lap 15, we have 6 cars up front right now, all single file. 7th on back, you have a couple 2x2 rows, but after that, a lot of cars just single file running around the bottom trying to make laps right now. We saw this in DWC, and I'm sure we're going to see it again. This is going to be that ride it out portion of the race where guys really aren't going to fight too hard. They're just going to try to take it easy and make some laps, and we see pretty much from 10th on back, they're all spread out single file right now, just trying to get to maybe 20 laps to go and then make their move.
The 12 car, Joey Brown, is falling like a stone on the outside line. Andrew Fash, the 3rd, now to the inside. It looks like he's found a little bit of drafting help. I believe that might be Cattell behind him as they work on the outside line now. So Joey Brown might be able to come back to the front a little bit with the 14 in tow. 53 and 50 go to the outside line as well, just in front of that tandem, as the 53 on the outside of Jeremy Thornton being pushed by Matt Moose. Something about to happen here, possibly, as that 04, I believe he's going to have to switch here in a couple of laps' time. 53 and 50. I think they've got something for the leaders here.
Those 2 cars up on the outside, the 53 and the 50, they are coming strong right now. They're in a tandem. The 04 and the 73, like you said, Tim, they're going to have to swap pretty soon, or that 04 is going to have to duck out for air. 50 and the 53 are going to get the side draft off the Monster Energy machine on the bottom right there. They're going to come up the outside. They're going to pull even to the door of the 04. They're not going to be able to get to the 73 as of yet. But as we work through 1 and 2 right here, the 73 and the 04 have to swap eventually. The 04 is giving the 73 some room. So the outside's going to get a great run down the backstretch. Maybe they'll get the lead before turn 3.
Heading down the super stretch into corner number 3, hitting 205, going into the corner for Jeremy Thornton as he has the run. The 50 comes a little bit disengaged with the 53. 12 and 14 have made their way to the back bumper as well. Oh, 50 into the wall, and it looks like they're going to save it, but the 50 of Matthew Moose, he loses all that momentum that he gained on the back of the 53.
It gets really tight off turn 4. That wall comes up on you really quick, and unfortunately, looked like Matt Moose couldn't see the wall right there. As when you're behind a guy, and I'm going to get John to go on board with the 12 car right here. When you're behind someone, you cannot see what's in front of you. If you look to the back bumper of the 53. I mean, you cannot see anything. Now the 12 is going to pull out to the outside and actually be able to see and get some air to the nose. But the 14 right now, Brandon Cattell is in that same situation. With that 12 right in front of you, you can't see the wall, you can't see directly in front of you, you can't see anything, so it's really hard to do, or it's really easy to do what Matt Moose did, and it looks like the 50 of Moose, he's going to come up through the middle right now. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage, so it looks like the 50 is going to be okay.
And look who he's bringing with him. Hello, Josh Berry in the 72. 72 of Berry, looking to pick up a couple of spots here through the middle, and he's bringing in tow Jeremy Allen. Allen to the back bumper of the 72 as they make their way into the top 10 and looking for a little bit more.
Hey, Josh Berry didn't have the EWC season that he wanted. I know he's going to try to get up here during this race. He's got his teammate Val behind him. They're going to try to make a move right here, as it looks like the 53 up there, Jeremy Thornton, he's going to leave his teammate hung out to dry on the top. Now Berry's going to push the 50 around with the 28 in tow as well. So we have a couple 3-car draft packs going on right now. Up at the front, we have the slow car of Danny Hansen. He's going to be off the pace because he has the draft. They're going to have to work their way around him. It might get a little bit tight when they try to get around the 78.
Got a lap pair coming up as well, as you mentioned, 78 at Danny Hansen, as they will work past the Pro Geek Consulting 78 to the inside, Jeremy Thornton and Kenneth O'Keefe, your lead tandem, and then it's side by side behind them. This is where things could get interesting, as the 78 goes to the outside, everybody else passes to the inside, as we work off corner number 2, 97, giving the 04 a push, and it looks like 72 and 28, they're in tow as well. Not going to let that 50 into line. Matthew Moose looking for somebody to draft with.
And Matt Moose out the back 50 car right now. The 12 is coming up to give him a little bit of help. I'm not sure if the 12 is cool enough to push him or not. We've seen that 12 pushing a lot tonight so far. It doesn't look like he can push the 50 right now. He's going to get to the back bumper of him and start to push, but for how long, I don't know. They have a great run through the travel right now. They're coming to the front. The 50 and the 12, 2 by 2 right here. They're going to pull up to the outside of the 04, to the outside of the 73. The 50 is going to duck down a little bit right here as the 73 gets a piece of the apron. The 53 wiggles a little bit on the bottom. Here comes the 50 and the 12.
Tight on the top line, 50 and 12 on the inside, 53 and 73, but it's going to be the 50 on the outside of Matthew Moose, inching out with the lead down the super stretch inside line, comes into play. 12 car is not clear, 53 has the line, and the 50 car going to go to the lead position, and now he's going to have the 53, his teammate there behind him. They were working together earlier in this race, and it looks like they're going to work together again as Jeremy Thornton pushes Matt Moose to the lead.
The 50 just used 12 right there, pretty big time, but that's what you're going to have to do tonight. You have to use guys to get to your teammates if that's indeed the plan you want to go with, and it looks like the 53 and the 50 are committed to each other as they get a little bit separated right there, and the 50 wanted to get away from that 12, get down from the 53, and he did. Fortunately, when you do that, again, you can't see behind you. The 12 almost cut across the 53's front corner right there. That could have been big, but he avoided that. And it looks like the 12 is going to poke out to the lead right here with Cattell in his bumper. They're going to clear the 50 through 3 and 4 and pull out to the lead.
Going to have a new leader this time by in the number 12, but Joey Brown. It looked like 73 and 04 trying to make that switch, but they're in the middle of the pack here, Mike. It's a little bit difficult to do that. 41 now to that back bumper of the number 73. 41 is Jake Sturgis, the winner of the Las Vegas race in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. As everything cut a little close right there.
Yeah, I saw that from a mile away. The 41 and the 73 with a huge run up top. They got 3 wide in front of them. Didn't really have anywhere to go. So they have a slow car, Vinny Sansone on the top. They're going to work their way around him. He's going to stay up high. They're going to go low. We got 3 wide up in front right now. Now 2 wide. The 73 is going to pull out to the lead with the 41 in tow. They're not going to clear that 14 though. If the 73 wants to pull down, he can. It's going to be close. He thinks better of it. Here comes the 14 with the 50. They're going to pull back out to the lead.
77, 72 had a near moment there off corner number 4 as it looks like some of the drivers in the backpack are going to come on to pit road this time by as they continue to race up in front. 73 of Kenneth O'Keefe has the push from the 41 of Jake Sturgis on the outside line. A couple of close moments there in those last couple laps.
I mean, they're really close right now, and they're doing a good job of it. They're not hitting each other, and they're keeping it straight. And while it's calmed down a little bit, I'm going to send it down to Mike Keaton down on pit road to give us an update on these guys making green flag pit stops. Mike?
Yeah, first off, Casey Malone in the Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated Chevrolet. It's silver or gold and white tonight. No tires, guys, just fuel only. For him, he'll actually beat some of the guys that he pulled down in pit road with. Coda?
Hey guys, everybody coming down right now is going to go on fuel from here, so they could stay out if they really wanted to. The sooner you come down, the sooner you get that fuel in the car, the sooner the back end is weighed down and you're losing less speed on the track, so that's what everybody's thinking and coming down a little bit sooner.
These guys are going to pull up to the track. quite a ways ahead of the lead pack right now, but if this lead pack does catch them, it's going to be a little bit treacherous getting around them, but we're just going to have to wait and see if they get to them or not. 14 and 50 pull out to a 5-car length lead over the 12, and everyone behind them. They're going to have to swap, though, probably into 3 and 4, somewhere around there as the 50 ducks out to the right of the 14 to get some air. That whole hungry pack behind him is hunting him down really quick.
14, your leader, Brandon Cattell. Here comes the 28 of Jeremy Allen. He knows how to win a super speedway race in a big pressure situation. Allen being pushed by Josh Berry in the 72. I believe the 28, sponsored by A Unique Computer, going to take the lead here. 28 to the top of the leaderboard, 72 to second, 14. And I think he's going to make that switch with his dancing partner, Brandon Cattell. Last time I scored in third. Here comes Berry to the inside. They're going to make that switch. Berry to the lead.
Berry to the lead right there. Allen behind him. The 14's going to have a run. Not going to really be able to do anything with it right here. The 50 and the 77, Andrew Fayash, Matt Moose up top right now. Fayash was involved in your first accident. Looks like he's rebounded very well. He's going to push that 50 up to the side of the 14. Doesn't look like they have enough steam to get to the front right here, but they're making their way up to about the 4th and 5th position right there up on top.
Trying to make something happen up on that top groove. 14 and 12. Looks like they have teamed up for the time being, as Brandon Cattell trying to get his way back to the front. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier, he really broke onto the scene about a year ago, and I really put him on my radar. He won the Talladega race with the GSRacing.net Truck Series, and that's really what put him on. He made the chase that season in that series. So Cattell knows how to race in pressure pack situations as well. Don't count out that 14, not only here, but the rest of this season.
He's a darn good racer, and he really has a good head on his shoulders. He's going to be a threat for this championship as well, as is pretty much everyone else in this series. Everyone's got a shot on it. I can't say that enough. It looks like up front, it's still the same picture up here. The 28 of Jeremy Allen pushing the 72. Now the 14 is going to give the 28 a little extra shove. The 50 of Matt Moose, he's up on the top. A little bit of separation between him and the 77. Joey Brown is going to suck up to 14 and try to give them a push as well.
You mentioned that 72 car, Josh Berry, out in front of the field, had a dismal Drivers' World Championship season. He did finally win that late model championship at Motor Mile Speedway, so congratulations to Josh Berry and the Speedco team. They've done what they needed to do during the summer season, and now it's trying to punch that ticket into the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship for 2013. And so far, so good for the 72 as he leads to 28 and 14. 12 has got himself into position number 4. They're all single file as it's side by side between 50 and 53. I'm sure they're trying to find their way to get into a 2-car tandem.
Yeah, looking outside of the 50 right now, he's trying to get to the 53. Looks like he's got a hole behind him back to that 73. Unfortunately, he's just got too much run on the outside right now. Can't let off, because if he lets off the 77's going to be right into his rear bumpers. It looks like we're going to have a challenge for the lead up here. Brandon Cattell pulls out, and he's going to hold the 28 close to his door. They're not hooked together, though, on that outside, but I have to tell you, they're holding really strong on the outside for not being hooked together when that 28 and 72 were. Now the 28 and 72 come apart to get some air. The 14 and 12, they're going to try to get to the lead off turn 4. They got a great run through the center of 3 and 4, and it looks like the 14's just going to edge ahead as we come out of the corners. It's going to be a drag race to the start-finish line. 28 and 72 come apart once again. 12 and the 14 are going to clear them as they pass Vinny Sansone once again.
Sansone goes another lap down as the leader will be the number 14 of Brandon Cattell. 12 of Joey Brown in second. Berry back there in third. And you have to believe it's getting close for those two to switch, as well as the 28's been the pusher for a few laps now. 50 and 53 still trying to get that side-by-side battle subsided as the 77 of Andrew Fayash pushing the number 50 on the outside. Kenneth O'Keefe's on the inside in the number 72.
Let's take it away from this pack a little bit right here, Tim. I want to talk about a couple guys that are playing that ride in the back strategy right now. We've got Brandon Bookberger quite a way off the pack right now. He's got a lot of damage, so I don't really know if he wants to be back there. Dash Lawton is hanging around the back of the pack right now. You got a 4-car pack back here through the trioval. They're quite a way behind, so they're going to have to really do something or have a caution to catch up. But Tim, we see a couple strategies always play out in the super speedways. You have the guys that want to stay up front and race, and you have the guys that want to stay in the back and try to avoid the wrecks and ride it out. But like Lawton, like Bennett, like Doucette, all of them back there, they might lose too much time to this pack and not be able to make it up before the end of the race.
Quick switch up in front puts Joey Brown to the lead in the number 12, and I think you mentioned it, maybe those guys back there were banking on a couple of more quick cautions. We saw a couple of quick cautions to open this race, but we've been green since about the first 10 laps of this race, so we're about 20 laps into this run, and you look at it, I believe those guys were banking on a quick caution. But keep in mind, this race for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, I believe went 72 laps caution-free to start off that race.
Yeah, that was one of the longest green flag runs we had of the season before Michigan, before Texas. Like you said, 72 laps started off. Again, we pretty much rode it out. I didn't really race that much those 72 laps. We raced a lot less than these guys are right now. I mean, we weren't going 3 wide. We weren't really dicing up like these guys are. So these guys, they're taking a little bit more of a risk here tonight. But you know what? They're putting on a heck of a show, and it's a lot of fun to watch. A lot more fun than watching guys go around the track single file. Meanwhile, up front, we have about an 8-car length lead. 12 of the 14 have hooked up, and they're gone right now. They're about 0.6 of a second in front of the 72 and the 28, but again, they're going to have to swap. Here they go. 12's going to pull off the track, 14's going to go under. That's going to allow the 28 and the 72 to close in.
And the last time that they did that, they closed in, and then they started to pull away again, so I think the 14 and the 12 might have this thing figured out. 72 and 28, when are they going to switch? I'm sure they will in a couple of laps here, but look back there, 53 and 50. They found themselves on that inside line, so watch for them to team up here, but maybe they're anticipating something here. It looks like they aren't racing as hard as they did, let's say, about 10 laps ago, where everything got a little bit exciting for a couple of laps. Maybe they're anticipating some green flag pit stops here in the near future.
Yeah, I think Moose is still trying to rebound after hitting the wall at turn 4. I think he realized that he might have been pushing it a little bit too hard this early on in the race. It looks like he's kind of settled in along with his teammate at Thornton, and they're going to ride it out a little bit, but they're still running really strong. 2 really fast cars right there, and I believe Arthur Lucas is on that Sim Chassis team. He's a super speedway specialist here on the iRacing service. I know he was back in NR 2003 as well, and that guy had put together some awesome super speedway setups. Him, John Ritchie, Tom Lewandowski, a lot of the JRM guys, I mean, those are the super speedway specialists, and if you have the privilege to drive those setups, man, those are like nothing else. And right now the 50 and the 53 are really seeing what one of those fast setups can do. Is they can really pull up to the front anytime they want. They definitely have probably the 2 fastest cars out here tonight.
And looking at back here of this lead draft, Jared Crawford and Rich Doucette have been working their rear ends off to try to keep up and catch the rear of this pack, and I believe they're pretty close to doing so. 83-96 were a lot farther behind than they were before. That they're catching this lead pack here. Watch for Rich Doucette and Jared Crawford to make their way back up here if these guys continue to dice it up a little bit. They're trying to get themselves back in the game here.
Yeah, it's Jared Crawford, 8th and 19th with Doucette pushing him right now. They're about 3 miles an hour faster in the back of the pack. They also have their other teammate up there, Chad Lawton. If they need him to, Chad can drop back a little bit and they can get that draft, but it looks like they're going to get up there all by themselves. They're about 8 car lengths back and catching the tail end of the pack. That'd be boosted really quick, but Doucette's got to lift off the gas right there and give the 83 some room. I believe the 83 is going to have enough of a draft to catch Boost. It's going to be really close, though. I think they're going to have to hook up one more time, make one more run at it to really get up there.
As the field works past the number 80 of Vinny Sansone once again, watch those two to make their way up here and have something for these leaders. And you mentioned the lead pack right now is 17 cars strong. If they add those two at the rear, it would be 19 cars strong, battling for this lead position, currently held by the 12 and 14 tandem with Cattell out in front. But here comes Barry now to the outside with help from Jeremy Allen. Josh Barry looking to take away the leads. We work lap 37.
Looks like Allen, great, had to jump on the brakes, not to run over the 28. Here comes Andrew Fast with Sturgis in tow right there. They're going to pull up the outside lane. They have a great run down the backstretch. They're going to pull up to the outside of the third place car of Josh Barry, and they're going to poke their nose ahead of him. It looks like the 28 is back pushing the 72 right there. They're going to mount a charge on the bottom once again, as again the 12 and the 14 out in front pulling away.
Side by side for that third place position, 77 to the upside, 72 to the inside. Fayash and Barry side by side with Sturgis and Allen, pushing those two drivers in that battle for position number 3. Other than them, and the battle behind them between Connors and Moose and Thornton, everybody else is single file in this train as we work down the back straightaway here. 41 to the inside, trying to make the switch possibly with the 77.
Yeah, the 14 and the 12 got to get some nose or air to the nose right there. They're still broken apart. They're really slow. The whole bottom line's going to check up. That's going to allow the 77 and the 15 to try to jump up this outside lane right here and try to jump up to the front. 14 and 12 back together. 72, 28, 41. They're all on the bottom pushing once again. So the 77 and 15 slow their progress just a little bit. But it looks like the 14 and the 12 are going to lead one more lap right here. Those guys have been really strong so far.
Really quick through the first half of this race, Brandon Cattell and the number 12 of Joey Brown, and we pinpointed Joey Brown to be fast throughout this series, so watch that number 12 as we work through this 10-race campaign. 72 trying to get a little side draft from the number 77 as the 77 has a head of steam down the back straightaway as he has the push from behind from the poltergeist Josh Connors. 15 looking to push the 77 of Fayash to the lead.
I believe they're going to have it up here in 4. 14 and 12 are hooked up the 15 and the 77 are. It looks like the 12 is going to duck down to pit road right here. Send it down to Dakota on pit road. Dakota.
Yeah, guys, actually right now should be right around the scheduled pit stops, just around 40 laps on fuel, minus the cautions that they had where they could have pitted and got about 10 laps on fuel. From right here, they still have to make one more pit stop, so just almost put them even with the rest of the guys out there.
Jake Sturgio's down pit road guy, right side. Conti going up on that yellow and black machine there. He's out and away, so some guys taking some right sides only. The 53 machine, Jeremy Thornton, fuel only for that purple Chevrolet. He'll have it out and about in a minute. Back up to you in the booth, Tim.
Well, we continue to work with Andrew Fayash as your leader. It looks like that tandem has got disengaged, but it looks like they will come on to pit road. Connors coming down behind the number 77. Kenneth O'Keefe coming down as well. We got a 5-car pack coming down, and look at Yuka Sava line and trying to make up time on pit road. 3 wide coming down to you, Keaton.
Absolutely, and I believe he might have overshot the pit stall just a little bit, but I think he able to get it in there fine. Gas only for him, but the right side's going up on that orange Fayash machine. Dakota?
Josh Connors coming down, fuel only for him in the 15. He was running in the 9th position, coming down pit road. Not going to lose much time, did not overshoot stall, and he is away, guys.
Fuel only also for Kenneth O'Keefe, your second place grid qualifier today. He's out and away. He's going to be teaming up with the 77 machine of Andrew Fayash.
Your leaders make the swap on the front straightaway. Jeremy Allen will go to the lead over Josh Berry, as it looks like most of your drivers in this lead pack, or what's left of this lead pack, staying out on the racetrack. Second place now belongs to, or third place, check that, now belongs to Dylan Duval, Matt Busa, and Carson Downs. Complete your top 5. Chad Lawton, Jarrett Crawford, and Rich Doucette. What's left of this lead draft right now as they work down the back straightaway?
Looks like the 72 and the 8 are going to play the strategy of trying to run that fuel tank empty, take a full load of fuel right here, and possibly take a half, maybe a half load, or maybe 1 can of fuel at the end for their last pit stop. They're going to stay out one more time right here. This whole front pack, Duval, Busa, Carson Downs, Chad Lawton, Crawford back there, and Doucette, they're all going to stay out for as long as they possibly can. It seems like they're on that strategy, while Matt Witten, Cody Bias, Chris Overland, Derek Crun, all them back there, they're on a little bit different strategy as we saw them pit earlier on in this race.
Just see Crawford come down to pit road, guys. I don't know if you had a better vantage point, but it looked like he might have been a little hot at the line.
Yep, Jared Crawford, in fact, going to have to serve a penalty, guys. And not too long ago, Casey Malone, same situation, got caught speeding down pit road. He's 1 lap down. So that 92 machine of Casey Malone going to have to work his tail off to get back on the lead lap. Also, Jared Crawford, right side's going up on that machine, but he will have to come back down and serve a black flag, guys.
Another swap
And,
up in the front,
Rich,
guys. 72 to the lead as the 28 falls back. And Mike, look who's coming up into this picture. 42 with Duval.
Hey, Duval is coming really strong. I just wanted to say Doucette is now without a drafting partner because that 83 got the speeding penalty, so the 96 car he's all by himself. But again, yeah, Duval is up here with Matt Busa. They have caught the 72 and the 28 right there, so they're really fast as well. It looks like a good tandem. We've got Carson Downs back here being pushed by Chad Lawton, and Landon Huffman all by himself back there. He's a lap down. So it looks like Huffman, Downs, Duval, Busa, Allen, and Berry are your guys that have stayed out so far, and they're going to stay out one more lap right here, as we're going to be working lap 45 as they hit the start-finish line.
And Dakota mentioned it. We went green flag racing lap 10, lap 12 thereabouts. So if they can go 40 laps on fuel, you'd have to believe these guys will be in within the next 5 laps or so. but they'll still have to make one more stop here. So Barry Allen possibly trying to get that bonus point for leading the most laps here this evening.
Yeah, have to think bonus. Again, just a quick rundown of the bonus points. 1 bonus point for leading a lap, 1 for leading the most laps, and a couple for winning the race. I believe it's 2 for winning the race or something like that. You can have a maximum of 48 points here tonight if you win the race and do everything you can to get all the bonus points. So that's 72. Josh Berry knows all about bonus points with his real-life racing and racing on here. He's an experienced racer. He's not fooling around. He knows how to get bonus points. 28 as well. He knows what he's doing. So they're not new to this. They're going to get all the bonus points they possibly can, staying out right now, leading all the laps that they can. That's a very smart thing to do.
72 to the outside, 28 to the inside. Little switch here. 34 is going to mess this up, though, for them. 34 to the inside. 42 going to follow him through. Here comes Matt Busa. Busa going to try to lead this thing down the back straightaway. It's a drag race looking towards corner number 3.
Drag race into 3. 72 gives the 28 heck of a push into turn number 3. 42 into 34 tied back together right there. They're going to go side by side through 3 and 4. This really isn't what they need to be doing right now. I think if they want to win this race, if there's not another caution, they need to stay single file. Maybe do that leapfrog strategy that we see and try to minimize the time. When you're running side by side, Tim, you're losing about a second from what you could be running if you go single file.
And as they go side by side, it is closing in that next pack back there, including Carson Downs, Chad Lawton, and I believe that's the 77 of Fayash, who came off pit road. Fayash currently being scored as the first driver, 1 lap down. If a caution did come out, Fayash would be the lucky dog recipient. As they continue to go side by side in front of the field, Busa leads, but here comes the run on the inside, and it's a big one for the number 28 of Jeremy Allen as they switch behind them. Allen to the lead, Barry to second, and here comes Duval to third.
Duval is going to drop third, like you said, 34-42. Had to swap right there, 72-28. Back out to the lead. Chad Lawton, Carson Downs, still about 5 car lengths back from that second 2-car tandem. So we have about 3 2-car tandems right now leading the field. Allen, Barry, Duval, Busa, Downs, and Lawton. Everyone, the other Lawton, Josh Lawton, Peter Bennett, all them, they're all way back from this pack in different strategies. So this is your race for the lead right now. As the 28's going to move up the track. Here comes Barry to the bottom. They're going to make another swap for 1 and 2.
Down the back straightaway, we are working lap number 48 of 100, closing in on the halfway point. In this event, 42 getting the run. He's going to put it to the outside. 34 in tow. Matt Busa pushing the wheel stand pro, number 42, with Dylan Duval from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Looking to make his way to the lead. Barry to the inside, looking to maintain that lead. Great run off the corner for the 42, but it's the 72 on the inside. Who's going to lead lap number 48? Give it to the 42, Dylan Duval.
Duval leads a precious lap right there. That could take that 1 lap, could take that bonus point away from the 72 or the 28. You never know how it's going to work here. You never know what's going to happen at the end. So the 42 leading that lap could be vital at the end of this race. 34-42, 72-28. Side by side out of turn 4 right there. Looks like the 72 and the 28 are going to get the better run off turn 2 right there. They're going to inch ahead of the 42's nose, but here comes the 42 back down the backstretch with some side draft off the 72. They're going to break apart up top. They're going to fall behind 28 and 72 right here. 34 looks to be getting a little bit hot right there.
42 went back into line for just a moment there as the 34 pushing him. 72-28. They continue nose to tail. The third pack still back there. Carson Downs and Chad Lawton as they continue to work as well. We should see these guys on pit road within the next 2 or 3 laps to get their fuel in the race car so they can go another 40 or so laps.
These guys, I'd say within the next couple laps they're going to have to pit. I know Paul Kashiba is coming down pit road right here, Peter Bennett as well. They're going to make a quick, possibly it looks like maybe a 2-tire pit stop for the 31 and the 32. Keaton, what are they doing down there?
I'll tell you what, looking at Paul Kashiba getting down on pit road, guys, real slow. He put the right sides up on that machine, then they took it right back down. So no clue what's going on in that machine, but he's down and away, fuel only for him.
Because that's usually a problem where the crew having a false call, but Peter Bennett coming down fuel only for him, and he is also out of pit road.
Meanwhile, up front, 42 and the 34 pull ahead of the 72 and the 28. They're out to about a 2-car length lead as the 72 and the 28 get the tow down the backstretch. 34 is going to try to make the swap as they're going to go 3 wide right there under the 92 of Casey Moe. 34 eats the apron into 3 right there. 28 and 72 are going to come up through the middle. It's going to be real close as they come through 3 and 4. 34 gets the apron once again. They're going to fall back to 3rd and 4th. Duval is going to swap. sweep in behind the 34 right there. They're going to get back into tandem. 72 and the 28 out front once again.
What a move by Josh Berry and Jeremy Allen to take the lead of this race back as the switch went a little bit awry for your former leaders, Matt Busa and Dylan Duval. Great move by Jeremy Allen to take the lead back in this race as they work down the back straightaway. We are past the halfway point in this race. We work lap 52 of 100.
Any lap of 72 and the 28 are going to come down pit road. Not sure when, though. Doesn't look like it's going to be this lap. They're going to swap, telling me they're not pitting this lap. Maybe the 42 and the 34 are. We're going to watch off turn 4, and it looks like they're going to stay out once again. So these top guys, they're stretching it as far as they can go. But if there's one thing these guys don't want to do, they do not want to run it out of fuel, because if you have to get around a 2.5-mile raceway without any fuel, that's going to take a long, long time.
Yeah, these guys are pushing it, but I'm sure the calculators down there are as close to that point as they can. 72, 28, 34, 42, and 97, 26 are the drivers we are watching right now. As the drivers that need to come down pit road here, that would put the lead over to Josh Lawton in the number 40, who sits about 10 seconds behind in this battle right now as we work through corners number 3 and 4. 72-28. Did they come down pit road this time by? 72-28 are going to stay out on the racetrack, as do the other two tandems in this lead pack. They will complete 53 on the racetrack.
Tim, this has got a really similar look to the DWC race when myself, Matt Witten, Brad Davies, and Josh Parker were out front on a little bit different strategy than everyone else, and it did work out. It seems like if you can get into a 4-car pack and stay single file like these guys are right now, you can make up a lot of time on the huge pack that's 2, 3, 4 wide, losing a lot of time. So these guys up front right now, if they could stay single file like they are right now, this is the best thing that they could do. Is you're going to see the 72, the 28 swap, the 34 and the 42 are possibly going to make it 3 wide right here, but the 34 and the 42 are going to go low. But these guys, if they could just stay single file, Tim, they could have such a huge lead on all the guys that pitted. It wouldn't even be funny. But right now they're choosing the race, and I don't know if they're going to have as much of a lead on the guys behind them as they could if they were to stay single file.
I did see your 7th and 8th place drivers duck off onto pit road that last lap by, I believe it was Schmidt and the 17 of Brandon Bookberger. Guys, what did they do down on pit road?
Both got on to pit road just fine. Gas only for the 17 machine of Brandon Butchberger. He's going to be hooked back up with the number 3, Brandon Schmidt, who also leads him out of pit road fuel only for that machine as well.
Joshua Lawton coming down just a moment ago. He's fuel only as well. Danny Hansen coming down with him, fuel only in that pit area.
And we're going to go side by side for the lead once again. The 42 and the 34 get separated. 28 and 72 up on the top. That's Josh Berry, or Jeremy Allen. Josh Berry up at front here. Oh, Josh Lawton. God, get down, Josh. Oh, that was almost right there. I believe there's a merge, or actually there's no merge rule here at Daytona. We're going to see a lot of merge rules at the other tracks starting next week in Texas, but you really have to be cognizant of what's coming behind you. The 40 of Josh Lawton almost pulled up in front of the pack right there. That would have been disastrous for a lot of people's races.
Reminds me of what Kevin LePage did a couple of years ago at the Talladega Super Speedway by pulling out, and the leaders were on their way. Close call for Dylan Duval in the number 42. 28-72 out in front of the field. Will they come down this time? Yes, they will, and they will be joined by the other two tandems coming down. 72-28, they're going to race it side by side. Coming down onto pit road, the A Unique Computer, number 28, going to lead this lead pack down onto pit road, guys.
And Tim, that's where it gets sketchy. That's what I talked about early on in the broadcast, getting down on pit road, especially when it's just not you and your partner, it's other people. The 34 machine, Matt Busa, grabs some buds doing the Chevrolet black car tonight. No tires for him, fuel only.
Dylan Duval in the 42 coming down from second position when he came in pit road. Fuel only for that car, and he will be away.
Josh Berry also down, like you mentioned, the 72 machine. Speedco, truck lube, and tires.
Now be lead pack. We're 4 wide as they lap Pedro Mojica that last time by. Very close quarter racing as the leaders come off pit road. Pack is going to pass them. Your leader should be Brandon Cattell the next time.
Brandon Cattell and Joey Brown up front right there on the outside. Here comes Chris Overland, Adam Gilliland behind and pushing. They're going to come to the lead right here, the 47, the 81, 14 to the 12, through 3 and 4. 47's going to poke his nose out. They're going to get to the lead as they have a swap up front. 3 wide. Where's the 73, the 41? They don't know where they can go. Looks like the hole's going to open up once again. 73 of O'Keefe down to the bottom. He's going to pull up to the side of the 14 with the 07, the 04, the 96 of Doucette's found some friends back here. They're going to pull up to this lead cars. The 47 and the 81, they're going to make a swap up front. 73 of O'Keefe has nowhere to go. He's going to start pushing on the back of the 47 as the 12 and the 14 are going to make a run up the outside once again.
Adam Gilliland, the 81, scored as your leader the last time by. Overland to the rear of him. Brown on the outside being pushed by Brandon Cattell. Kenneth O'Keefe up here as well. But really, it's the first time we've really called the names of Adam Gilliland and Chris Overland in this race. They're really starting to show their cards in the second half of this one.
I think Chris Overland a little bit hurt right now. He and our announcer, J.D. Laird, they had a bet. If Overland qualified within 5 1,000ths of the pole, he'd get $10 from J.D. He qualified 6 1,000ths from the pole, so now he's got to pay J.D. $10. That 47 car, Chris Overland, he's out for vengeance tonight. He wants to win this race and maybe get out of paying that $10. I don't know how that's going to work. But the 47's going to push the 81 through 1 and 2 right now. They're going to be your leaders. Schmidt and Chassis Works 1 and 2. You got the 07 to Derek Crone back there. It's another Schmitten car. Matt Witten, Cody Bice taking up the rear as well. So this pack is flooded with Schmitten cars right now. 60 laps into the race.
So I think that's why J.D. Laird put up $15 credit for the Twitter contest here this evening. Hashtag NIPS Daytona. If you haven't put in your tweet yet, that's NIPS Daytona, $15. The most creative tweet is we got pit stops happening. Here comes Gilliland, here comes Overland, and the rest of, half of the front pack coming down onto pit road. We're on lap 60, guys. 40 laps to go. Is this some pit strategy being played out here?
Actually good to go on fuel from here, guys. I was watching Kenneth O'Keefe, I believe, was one of the guys coming down, but Derek Crone coming down, actually taking two tires on his stop, and he's going to be away.
Yeah, these guys really cutting it close, 38 to 40 laps. You can make it on fuel here. You can stretch it just a little bit, but the 47 machine, Chris Overland, taking 4 tires, guys. 4 tires on that yellow GSRRacing.net Chevrolet of Chris Overland.
Looks like, go ahead.
I was going to say Kenneth O'Keefe, and in the 73, I did see him come down, and he took no tires, fuel only, and he was away.
Matthew Moose in the green Chevrolet pitting down right now. Coming up pit road 53, also coming in. That's Jeremy Thornton sporting that purple machine. He gets into the pit stop just fine. Crew comes around, putting gas in. Going to see if the right sides go off on this Chevrolet or not. It looks like fuel only for Jeremy Thornton. He's out and away.
The thing with Matthew Moose there, fuel only, and he was away as we have more coming down pit road.
Joey Brown's going to come in right here along with Brandon Cattell. They're going to be your latest cars to come down pit road. 96, Richard Doucette, Yuka Savalainen. He's going to come down as well. It looks like another car is going to bring up the rear, bring up the caboose. That's going to be Sturgis. Oh, as Juka tries to turn in right there. The 41 goes around the left side of him. That wasn't too smart, but Juka saw that. And they were going to avoid an accident, Mike.
And Jake Sturgios, as you mentioned, the 41 machine overshooting the pit stop, so that's going to cost him dearly. Let's just see how much all the other guys out and away. No one left on pit road but himself for now. 41 of Jake Sturgios in trouble.
Joey Brown coming down fuel only as he led them down. You see him sliding coming off pit road there. That's a result of old tires. You can get really slick coming off pit road on old tires, and that can be very dangerous because it can be easy to wreck it.
Your leaders come up at corner number 4. It is Chad Lawton, Carson Downs. They just got passed by Josh Berry and the number 28 of Jeremy Allen, and as well Matt Busa and Dylan Duval. Those are your 2 leaders, Busa and Duval, as they go into corner number 1. And we've seen differing pit strategies before. We'll see if this one works out for your top 6.
Yeah, the 34 and the 40, they must have had a great set of pit stops right there, because if you can remember, Josh Berry, Jeremy Allen, all them were together with the 42 and the 34, and the 34 and the 42 now have about a 6.5 of a second lead over the cars behind them. So a great pit stop exchange for those 2 up front. But again, when they have to swap here very shortly, 72 the 28, the 97 the 26 are going to be breathing down their neck. So this lead might be short-lived for these 2 up front.
Yeah, these guys were a little bit closer than they were a couple of laps ago, or a little bit farther away than they were a couple of laps ago. As the 72 and the 28, I believe there was a bad switch there. There might have been a little bit of lag on the end of the number 72, and especially at a super speedway, as the leaders swap for the lead, Duval going to go to the top spot. even if it's in a two-car tango or if it's in a pack sort of draft, you really don't want to see anybody in front of you warping in case they appear back on your car instead of in front of your car.
The warp is not your friend, or, well, it can be in one instance, but we don't have enough show to go into that. But you do not want warp here. Netcode warp lag. You want your connection to the server as best as possible so you can really get close to people without fearing that something out of the ordinary is going to happen. We haven't seen that tonight yet, from what I can see, but, you know, there's always that chance at Daytona with the high speeds and close quarter racing. You always have the chance of a netcode accident. Luckily, we haven't seen that yet. I hope that we don't see that, because right now we have a great run going on, Tim. These guys are doing a fantastic job keeping this thing lean and green.
35 and a half laps to go as we work down the back straightaway. Your top 6 on a different pit strategy than some of the other drivers in this field. Duval, Busa, Barry, Allen, Downs, and Chad Lawton, your top 6. Your next pack sits about 20 seconds back, led up by Josh Lawton and Josh Connors in 40 and 15 respectively. This time by 35 laps to go as Dylan Duval will lead them down.
And it looks like I'm going to look at lap times at the line right here. 44.99 for Dylan Duval. We go back to the second major pack that's going to play a role in this. That would be Overland, all of them back there. They're running 44.0s. So right now, this I don't know, maybe the second major pack is about a second quicker than these guys up front. So it looks like when everything is said and done, if we don't get another caution, Tim, Jarl, Kenneth O'Keefe, Chris Overland, Adam Gill, and all of them back there, this is going to be your race for the win.
And as we look into corners number 3 and 4, 42 at 34 continue to be your lead with the 72 and 28 close in tow. 97, 26 continue to run just behind them. Of course, we want to thank a couple of sponsors who've come on board here for these events, and we haven't had time to take a commercial break right now. We just want to thank VRC MK2 Virtual Racing Seat, a high quality and affordable alternative to other racing seats that cost thousands of dollars, $349 plus shipping. You can see it all at BobEarlRacing.com. So we want to thank them, Stock Car Evolution, and the winner is Motorsport Show and Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, among others, who have put in some time and effort to bring us the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. We'll get to more in a few moments' time. 34 going to go to the lead on the 42, and here comes 72 with Josh Berry, wanting to take at least second. I think he's going to go to the lead here, too.
Barry pulling Allen, Downs, and Lawton on the bottom right here. 72 to the lead, but 28 in tow. 97 is going to move into 4th with the 34 and the 42, all by their lonesome up top right there. They're still not in tandem now. They're almost in tandem. Looks like they're going to fall to the back of this pack. That's what these guys need to be doing. If they're going to swap, they need to stay in a single file line. That's perfect. What they did right there, they needed to be doing that 20 laps prior to this. I'm not sure if it might be too late to start trying to save time, but you know, at least they have the right idea. But that's what you want to do. If you're watching right now and you're going to do a super speedway race season 4 of 2012 on the iRacing service, if you have a 17-second lead over everyone behind you and you have 6 cars up front, you have to say single file. So watch this race and remember that.
Downs and Lawton make the switch. Chad Lawton going to go to position number 3 as they come across the stripe this time by 68 laps are in the books here at Daytona of this 100-lap affair. Josh Berry is your leader. Jeremy Allen runs in position number 2 with Chad Lawton, Carson Downs, Matt Busa, and Dylan Duval completing your field. Looking back here, and we see a lot of 2-car tandems, but I'm looking back here with the 50, 53, and they're going to go 3 wide with the 14 and the 12 pushing him on the outside line. This is the only huge pack that we really see here, that at least they're going side by side at this point.
Yeah, side by side indeed. Guys were running single file before, that's why we really didn't show them that much, but now they're side by side, 3 wide, and they're starting to get racy because I think their spotters are telling them that this is the race for the win right now. The 50, the 53, the 12, the 14, all these guys, this is going to be your battle for the win at the end of this race if a caution doesn't come out. So we're going to start showing these guys a little bit more right now. The 53, the 50 on the bottom, 47, the 81 are going to make a swap in the middle of the pack right there. 96 to Doucette push for the 73 of O'Keefe. That's back around the 15, 16, 17th positions right now. So the 53 gets really close. The 53 and the 50 cut the 47's nose off. Overland's going to do his slide job back under the 2-car tandem right there. Adam Gillen to the bottom. Overland all over the place, trying to get around these guys, slicing and dicing up to the field is Overland.
And I think we've seen this before. This is where the Hornet's Nest, this is where the pack is taking place. 47 and 15 are side by side And if something goes wrong here, this is likely where we're going to see that caution flag happen, as 15-47 side by side as they lead a pack up. It looks like Overland has found his tandem buddy in Adam Gilliland, the 96 and 73 working together by the looks of it. Now the 73 goes to the bottom with Savalainen in the 13 car, and it looks like, I believe that's Derek Crone back there as well. Haven't called his name a whole lot in the 07, but he's involved in this battle as well. So there's a couple of guys trying to make their name known here in this pack.
I'm looking back here a little bit at this pack. Matt Wett and Cody Bias, they have lost the pack. I don't know what happened to them. They must have had to check up for some reason. Two more Schmitten cars kind of disconnected from the rest of the Schmitten cars. They're right now they're 28 seconds off the pack, and that main pack that we're just showing, they're 21 seconds off the pack. So 7 seconds between those cars. 69 of the 27 are out of this unless they have a caution, which I'm sure they're hoping for right now. But again, if you lose the pack, like we said before, it's really easy to lose the pack, and it's really hard to make it back up to the pack.
Well, with the way these guys were going the last couple of laps, we may have seen a caution flag, but it looks like they have kind of taken maybe a deep breath and maybe starting to do some 2 and 3 car tandems, as it looks like 15 all over the back bumper of Matthew Moose and Jeremy Thornton. Looked like he may have knocked 50 sideways for just a couple of moments there, as Pedro Mojica is going to fall back in behind these drivers. A little bit of damage to the JDR car after that second caution flag of the evening. Dustin Montgomery also has a little bit of damage to the 8 car as these guys try to figure out where they're going to set up in these final few laps. 14 and 12 going to make the switch up in front of this pack, as will the 81 and 47.
Yeah, 2 swaps up front right. They're going to get back single file. 53 and the 50 have a great run back up to the bumper of the 47 right there, and they're going to stay in line right there. That's a 6-car draft pack right there up front, and you got a couple more cars behind them, 2 by 2. The damaged car, Dustin Montgomery, Casey Malone out there, Josh Connors all by himself, and then behind him we have Jarl and Kenneth O'Keefe trying to make their way back up to this pack. So a lot of cars in contention right now, 73 laps into this race. It is anybody's race to win in this pack right now.
I looked at the last switch between the 12 and the 14. As they made that switch, the 81 was making the move on the 14. The 14 put it into a hole that was probably just big enough for that Class A car. And I don't think Gilliland really approved of that. Gave him a little shot in the corner, so maybe Gilliland will remember that going down the finish to this race. But Adam Gilliland is one of those drivers that gets easily excited, as we've seen before, Mike. And right now, I'm sure the one person you don't want to get on your bad side early in this season is probably the driver sitting in that 81.
No, that's not a good idea. Gilliland can get overly rambunctious really easily, as it looks like he's going to try to go 3 wide right here. 47 minutes left here. You don't want to do that. They're going to break apart. But that 81, he's come a long way in his time in iRacing. There's a long time ago, he wasn't even close to this level. Now you see him vying for a spot in the 2013 NISWC season as he slides in front of the 14, leaves the 47 outside. The 12's going to get the apron. They are stacking up front right here. 14 tried to cut in front of the 12, not going to happen. But Gilliland, he'll make moves. He's like Kyle Busch. You can compare him to that. Kyle Busch's mind works very quickly, and if you're going to push him, you got to work just as quick as he does. And Gilliland right there, he's working really quick. He's slicing and dicing, and it's really hard for the 47 Overland to keep up with him. And right now they're separated. But again, this pack is really bunched up now, Tim. 2 by 2 by 2, about 8 rows deep.
Changing partners on the dance floor on the fly is what you're seeing right now. Is the 47 and the 81, they're going to find each other again. The 14 and the 12, they're going to find each other again. And the 53 and 50, they never lost each other. They're going to go to the inside, or at least they look to the inside. They got the 15 there at Josh Connors, too. I don't know if that's a love triangle, I guess you want to call it there. Is the 15 going to fall back now to the 73 at Kenneth O'Keefe?
Hey, this is just one big square dance, Tim. You leave one partner, you get another one, you dance around with them for a little while, leave that one, go to another one, and you just keep doing that throughout the night until you get to the end of the race. And with whoever you're with, you probably don't even know their name. So that's what Connors is doing. That's what O'Keefe's doing. Everyone is just trying to find a partner right now. They don't care who it is. A car is a car at this point. You all got the same motor. You all got the same chassis. It does not matter who it is. As long as they can push you halfway decent, you're going to jump in front of them, or you're going to jump behind them, and you're just going to shove on them until they can't take it anymore. So it looks like the 14 to 12, they're going to make a swap. It looks like the 14 to 12, however, are dedicated to each other, as that was a great swap right there. They have stuck to each other's bumper the whole race, and it looks like they are not going to change partners before the end of this race. The 12 and the 14 working absolutely fantastic with each other since the start of the green flag.
We are in the final quarter of this race. We have less than 25 laps to go as we work lap 77 of 100. We are watching the battle for position number 7 on back, or check that, 8th on back right now, as Josh Lawton runs 3 seconds in front of this pack in 7th. Your top 4 or 6 positions, Carson Downs, Chad Lawton have a little bit of a lead now on Jeremy Allen, Josh Berry, and Dylan Duval, Matt Boos. That's actually 3 seconds between your first 2 and then your next pack of 4 drivers, and I believe that's growing as it looks like Downs and Lawton going to make that switch into corner number 1, but the battle is ensuing for 8th on back.
Yeah, I mean, this race on back is absolutely fantastic right now. I mean, right now, the race up front is kind of boring. I don't know how Carson and Chad pulled out to a 4-second lead, but obviously they found something, maybe a swap gone wrong for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, I don't know. But this race, 8th on back, I mean, this is your race-winning battle right now. They're going to try to go 4 wide for turn 2 right there, and they're going to go 3 wide, and they're going to make it through. That got really close with the lap car, the 78 Danny Hansen up top. Unfortunately, he's not going to get the lucky. Oh, 81, there's not a hole there. It's going to get close still and tries to make a hole where there's not one. And like I said, this is just fun to watch right now. I'm getting a kick out of this.
These guys are racing like there's 10, maybe even 5 laps to go, and they have more than 20 laps to go in this race as Gilliland is going to find the back bumper of Josh Connors as the 53 and 15 nearly make contact as they go side by side. 53 and 40 going at it. 15 is shuffled at a line, and I'm sure the C-Draft is not very happy with that effort.
No, it really stinks when someone puts you in a position that you don't want to be in, especially when you kind of get shoved out of line. But Connors is going to rebound. Still plenty of time left, over 20 laps to go. That 15 can get to the front, no problem. He's a good driver. He'll get up there. He's just got to find a dancing partner right now. Looks like he's going to latch on to the 50 car of Matt Moose right in front of him, and see if they can get up to the front. Adam Gilliland getting a little bit rambunctious. Like I said before, he can get rambunctious. Well, now we're seeing that pink 81 car being rambunctious. He just got a piece of the apron, the 3 and 4, and almost upset that car to the point where he was going to loop it. But now he's back with his dancing partner, the 47 of Chris Overland. They're going to push to the outside of the 53 and make a charge up to the front of this pack as the 40 of Josh Lutton gets a run up to the back of the 53 of Jeremy Thornton, Kenneth O'Keefe in tow, Matt Moose back there, Danny Hansen back there as well. Again, he doesn't factor into this. 15 of Josh Connors. I mean, there's so many cars in this pack right now. It's hard to keep up with. But the 14 and the 12, however, I mean, they are out front right now. They're about 6 car lengths out in front of the 81 and the 47. So the 14 and the 12 once again breaking away from the pack when it seems like no one else can.
And looking back there, the 81 and 47 are beginning to break away and trying to find some dancing partners. 53 and 50 were together, and now they have separated because they have the 40 and the 73 between them. It looks like the 15 has found Jarl Tynan back there in the 04. I know they were working together a little bit earlier on in the week as the switch happens up in front between the 14 and 12. Looks like Joey Brown going to head to the front of this pack, but the 81 has a head of steam. Here comes Adam Gilliland in the GSRacing.net 81 to the inside.
And Schmitten to the pack right there. 81, 47 to the front, 12 to 14 back to 3rd and 4th in this pack right now. That's 11th to 12th overall. And it looks like 7 is now going to go to the bottom of the 81 of Chris Overland. 12 and the 14 don't really have anywhere to go now. The 47 Overland, he's going to pull up to the top to get in front of his teammate. 12 and the 14 back up front of the packs. The 47 swoops in behind the 14 right there.
And this is your battle for 7th on back. 7th currently occupied by Joey Brown in the number 12 Cattell in 8th. 9th Overland, Adam Gilliland 10th and on back through this field. And this pack goes back to 21st place right now. So it's a fairly big pack that we're seeing here. Your leaders continue to be the 97 and 26. Carson Downs, Chad Lawton, Jeremy Allen, and Josh Berry, along with Duval and Busa, are about 4 seconds behind your lead tandem. Carson Downs and the Pro Geek Consulting Impala comes by here, 82 complete.
14 and the 12 make another swap. There they go. 47 Overland, 81 Gilliland back out to the front. As the 53 of Thornton, 73 of O'Keefe are going to come up to the front of this pack right now. It looks like the 15 of Josh Connors peels off to pit road. Send it down to Mike Keaton. What do you got down there?
Yeah, Josh Connors coming down pit road right now. Going to type a few loose ends on that machine, the Ultra4Sim.com Chevrolet. He's coming all the way down. Got a real late pit stop here, 15 down. Crew's going around to the right side of that machine. Gas going in it right now. No tires. Fuel only for Josh Connors. He's out in the way.
Guys, Landon Huffman actually came down a few laps ago with a partner, and fuel only for him, but it was Peter Bennett, but they both out losing a lap to the leaders right now.
it's getting really dicey back here. This is another one of the small packs, the 3, the 24, the 17, the 41 real quick. I mean, they almost wadded it up through 1 and 2 as the 3 tried to get to the bottom of the 41 and the 17 as they swapped. They almost hooked it, and that was almost something big. But meanwhile, back up into your lead pack, 14 and the 12, 7th and 8th positions right now. They are still leading this pack. It's still the same picture pretty much, 14, 12, 81, 47, 53, 73, and on back. I mean, these guys, seems like the same guys are still up front right now. I'm not sure if these guys in the back, like Yuka, Josh Lawton, they might be waiting to make their move right now, as it doesn't seem like they're mounting that hard of a charge compared to the 81 and the 47, 12 and the 14, that seem like they just keep coming up to the front every chance they get.
And as we watch this battle, keep a half eye on your top 6 as well. They should be coming down pit road in the next 6 laps or so. Chad Lawton, Carson Downs, they did have a 4-second lead. It's cut in half in these last few laps. So we'll keep a half eye on that. But the most entertaining battle in this racetrack is right back here in this pack. Outside the top 10 at least right now in this pack. Gerald Tynan and the 96 of Rich Doucette on the outside. Danny Hansen not on the lead lap. 13 of Jukka Savalainen on the inside as they're trying to make something happen here.
Yeah, Paul Kashiba, another one of your lead lap cars, real quick here. He's going to peel off to pit road this time by. We'll send it down to Dakota when he does get there. But the 12 and the 14, they're going to pull to the front of the lead pack, or the main pack right now, as the 81 and the 47 are going to make a swap right in front of the field, coming through the short stretch into the tri-oval. They're going to go side by side. The 53 is now going to push the 47. Let's see if Overland ducks up in front of the 81. He does, and they're going to get to the top right now, as it looks like Paul Kashiba down pit road.
Yeah, also coming down with Jared Cropper, both of them fuel only, and then we'll be away. Very short stop for both Shiba. And remember, Jared Cropper getting, I believe, a penalty earlier and had to sit on pit road for a little while for speeding. Not this time. He was slow getting in and perfect in the stop. He should be able to get away and get out perfectly.
Another thing too to add, guys, here, these guys are not taking full fuel here. They're taking just a little bit, and those pit stops about 3 seconds, depicting the difference.
Still side by side in your main pack right now. It is bunching up once again. 14 back up front, but now we have a charge on the top. 53 and the 73. It's go time for those two up front, up top right there. They're going to fall back a little bit as they get disconnected. The 12 and the 14 pull out to the lead once again. 81 and the 47. 53, Jeremy Thornton dives to the bottom in front of the 40. Really close quarter racing right there. And the 40's now going to push the 53. As they go 3 wide right there. Rich Doucette in the middle. That's the 40's teammate. He's going to go through the middle. It's going to get real close right here. Swap up front. 47 and the 81 to the lead. They're still disconnected up top. On the bottom, they're disconnected as well. That's going to bring this whole pack up to the front right now.
Gloves are off, boys. 13 laps remaining in the season opener for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at Daytona. Overland to the inside of Joey Brown in the number 12 as they go side by side. Gilliland and Cattell are there as well, but this is the battle for 7th on back as they continue to battle out in front for the actual lead position. They just swapped. It's Carson Downs going back to the lead on the number 26 of Chad Lawton. Allen, Barry, Duval, and Busa are your top 6, but the battle is back here for 7th.
Yeah, 7th on back. I mean, this is where the action is at right now. Again, this is going to be your race-winning, determining pack right now, if you want to call it that. 81's going to go through the middle right there. They're 3 wide through the tri-oval. 47 to the bottom, 96 up top. Gilliland in the middle. They're going to make a swap right there. That's an interesting way to make a swap, but the 81's going to get out in front of the 47. That worked out pretty well, actually. That was pretty smart by those 2 Schmidt drivers right there. They're going to pull ahead of Rich Doucette, who's all by himself. 12 and the 14 just made a swap out front. And it looks like, again, the 81 and the 47 have a huge run down the backstretch. They're going to suck up to the back of the 12 and the 14 as they 2-car tango into 3 and 4. They're going to try to make a move up the outside. Not sure if they have enough steam or not. 53 and the 04, that's Thornton and Tyan. They're going to move into the 5th and 6th positions in this pack right now.
Those top 6 out in front of the field, they are hoping for a caution flag in the next couple of laps because they will have to visit pit road, I believe, in the next 3 laps or so as we work lap number 90 of 100. Next time by 10 laps remaining at Daytona as the pack starting to get exciting here. Brandon Cattell leading it up with Joey Brown, Adam Gilliland, Chris Overland in tow. And it's single file for the time being. And I say for the time being, Mike, because these guys at a flick of a switch, they'll be getting ready to go back to side-by-side racing and settle this thing on the track under green.
Yeah, they're taking it easy right now. They're getting ready to get going here in a couple laps. I'd say probably with about 7 to go, you're going to see the intensity level pick up to the highest point. It's been all race 3-4 wide action here at the Daytona International Speedway. I am sure we'll see that. But for the time being, like you said, single file. This whole pack is just waiting to make their move. A swap up front. That was the only action we've had in the last lap and a half. 12 leads this pack, 14 second. That's Cattell, Gilliland, Overland, Thornton, Tyan, Doucette, Lawton, O'Keefe, Moose, and Savalainen round at that pack. A couple cars back there, a little bit further back are Malone, and it looks like Derek Crone back there as well. That's another lead lap car. Crone is on the lead lap. Malone is not, nor is the 78 of Danny Hansen. Again, now they're going too wide. Here comes Josh Connors. He's not in the same sequence as these guys. He's in 29th position right now, but he's still going to play a factor in this pack, quite possibly. As the 04 and the 96 work the top, 73 is going to he's going to just stay right in the middle right there, give him a little bit of help on both lanes. Now he's going to go to the top, and they're going to draft around. Oh, the 53. Oh, the 15. He's going to, oh, he saved it. Oh, it was close right there, Tim, but they saved it. Unbelievable.
Josh Connors in the 15, I'm sure, is holding his breath right now as he catches the number 78 of Danny Hansen. As the leaders work through 3 and 4, it looks like your top 2 are going to stay out on the racetrack, and indeed your top 6 continue to be out on the racetrack with 92 laps completed. Joey Brown, Brandon Cattell, that is your leaders of the next pack coming up. 7th and 8th place as Cattell will come by this time. He will be in 7th place, and we talked about a couple of close quarter racing. A lot of those drivers back there holding their breath with that 15.
Yeah, I mean, that 15 is not in the lead lap. I think Connors is probably just going to fall to the back of this pack and maybe just take it easy for the rest of this race. I don't think he wants to be the one that wrecks the main pack back here and ends the race under caution. I don't think he wants that. So he's going to fall to the back right here. It looks like same picture up front, same 6 guys leading this pack right now as we're going to make another swap up front. We're coming to 7 laps to go right here as the leaders cross the start-finish line. So 7 to go this time by.
7 to go as Chad Lawton is scored as your leader. Downs, Allen, Barry, Busa, and Duval. Your top 6 in the battle is for position number 7 as it switches with Chris Overland and Adam Gilliland moving to the front of this pack, and they're going to swap again. Adam Gilliland going to move to position number 7. Overland going to fall into line here. Jarl Tynan is up there as well. He's got Rich Doucette in tow, and it looks like Kenneth O'Keefe is coming up here as well.
O'Keefe coming up to the front net, showing his nose once again. 14 to 12, a little bit further back than they've been probably this whole race, and they're only in, well, 4th and 5th right now. So they've been up front this whole entire race. They're going to try to draft back up the top to the front right now. They don't have a lot of steam right there. It's really hard to pick up time on 2 guys that are tandeming on the bottom. So they're going to break apart right there just a little bit, and they might fall to the back of this 6-car pack up front.
This is where business begins to pick up. 6 laps remaining in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at Daytona. Adam Gilliland runs in position at number 7 right now as they're 3 wide as they make the switch back there. The 12 and the 14, the 04 and the 96 in the inside, as is the 73 of Kenneth O'Keefe as they battle to try to take away at least a top 10 position in this race. Carson Downs and Chad Lawton are scored as your leader. They will bypass pit road this time. You'd have to believe that they're out for the long run here now, trying to possibly catch a caution here to make sure they're insured on that fuel.
Yeah, they're definitely in it for the long haul at this point. They need a caution right now, or they're going to run out of fuel. Bukowski and Danny Hansen, who lost connection earlier in the race. We didn't catch it, but as the caution's out, and that's going to end the race.
It's a big wreck here on the front straightaway, guys, and that happened in that main pack, and they're still wrecking. Doucette, and I believe, who was that back there? The 8 car. Big hit for Matthew Moose in the number 50 as he comes through on the tri-oval, as there's a lot of good cars swept up in this one. This happens with 5 laps to go. Are we going to see a 1-lap dash?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We might. Yeah, I think we might. I hope we do. I mean, I sincerely hope that we do. I don't know if we are, though. It's really cutting it close.
Looking back here at this wreck, though, it happens between the 12 and the 14, and we've seen these guys work so close together, but the 96 looks like he comes up in front of the 14 here, and they get all discombobulated. They go through the infield, the 73 and the 14 do. The 96 at Doucette gets involved in it, and then a couple of guys here at the back of this pack, 14 and 96, get into it. And then I believe Landon Huffman might get a little bit of damage from this as well. Matthew Moose probably gets the biggest hit, and it was way after the wreck began, Mike, as a tough break for Matthew Moose in the 50.
Yeah, just tough break for everyone up here. It looks like when y'all came up, looked like it hooked the 96 just a little bit upwards, and unfortunately Cattell was there with a big run. Ended a lot of people's races right there. It was really going to be an entertaining race at the end. I mean, you had the fuel strategy up front. You had all these guys out back trying to vie for this win, and unfortunately just maybe a little bit of that net code kind of shining through right there, and caused the big one here tonight.
While we have a couple of minutes, we'll remind you that we're still taking tweets. Join in the conversation at hashtag NIPS Daytona. That's hashtag NIPS Daytona. The most creative tweet, as chosen by the staff at JDR Graphics, will win a $15 iRacing gift card courtesy of JDR Graphics. Once again, that's hashtag NIPS Daytona. Winner will be announced in the post-race show. We also want to thank a couple of more partners for coming on board here this evening, including OpenPaddock.net, Hostile Contact Simulation Servers, ETV Live Radio, and Von Erichs, the whiskey-slinging Texas Punkabilly rock band. You can check them out at vonerichs.com, and we want to thank them for coming on board. We haven't had a whole lot of time, Mike, to go through the full sponsor list, but we did get everybody mentioned once here, and it's been fantastic racing. We did it without a commercial break. We'll set up a commercial break after this race is completed, but I don't know if we're going to have a one-lap dash or not. Light's got to go out this time by in order for it to happen.
Yeah, man, I don't know. You know, I've been doing this for a long time now, and I still get confused about the pacing rules and when we have a 2-lap dash at the end or a 1-lap dash when we don't. But it's not completely out of the question that we're going to have a 1-lap shootout. A lot of guys are saying good win over the chat right now to Lawton up front. So they think that it's going to be done right here. I don't know, though. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see what this pace car does when he across the start-finish line. If the lights do go out, then we have a 1-lap shootout. If they don't, Chad Lawton is your winner. Carson Downs has a nice run in second. Paul Kashiba, Paul's not in the lead lap, nor is Crawford. Okay, Allen is going to be third. I told you he was going to be up front, and he was, with the help of Josh Berry, who's going to be fourth, and Dylan Duval is going to be fifth. So great run by all those guys up front. And if we don't get back going green, it looks like that fuel strategy did play out for these guys, when I don't think either of us really thought that any of these guys were going to get the win. I truly thought that 7th on back was going to be a race for the win.
And that's the question that we're going to ask these guys in the post-race show if they do make it to the end of this race. And I know Jeremy Allen came across the in-game chat and asked Chad how close he was on fuel. That's just the thing. How close were they on fuel? They came down pit road about that halfway point in the race. I didn't think they were going to make it past 90 or 95. Lo and behold, making it 2-lap 100, albeit there is one caution in there. But these guys played the fuel strategy right. And if they can come around for 2 more laps under the caution, we will have a first-time winner in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Lights on top, the pace car are still on, so we will finish this race under the caution flag. Now, question is, do the top 6 make it on fuel? Does any one of these guys run out? And do we have a somebody possibly running out and losing a lot of points here early in the season?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure guys can make it. I mean, they're only going 70 miles per hour, so I mean they'd have to be really low on fuel. 2/10 of a gallon left when they hit the caution flag, and it looks like right now Chad is still under power. If we go on board with him, I believe you're going to hear his motor is still running, and it is, so he's not worried about saving fuel. If he was worried about saving fuel, you'd hear that thing shut off every now and then, so he's good. It looks like Carson Downs is good. It looks like everyone up here is going to be good on fuel, so looks like right now the lineup that we see: Lawton, Downs, Allen, Berry, Duval, Busa, Overland, Gilliland, Tyan, Brown, that's going to be your top 10. It doesn't look like anything's going to change.
So a lap and a half before we throw the checkered flag. We remind you to stick around for the post-race show, where we will catch up with your top 5 finishers. We'll go over the Twitter contest that we ran this evening courtesy of JDR Graphics. So stick around for the post-race show. It's coming up following the checkered flag flying here this evening in about a lap and a quarter, as Chad Lawton looking to pick up that prestigious first win and give himself a little bit of momentum, and more importantly, the points to get him through. We've seen it before, as we're going to take the white flag here. One thing we really didn't mention in the post-race show, Alex Warren was one of those drivers in last season's Pro Series we really didn't talk about at the start of the season. Now, we talked about other guys, Kevin King, Nick Ottinger, all those other guys in the 2011-2012 season. We really didn't talk about Alex Warren. Could Chad Lawton be one of those guys that we don't really talk about at the start of the season, but really comes on strong here as these guys take the white?
Oh yeah, Chad's going to be a contender. I know he is. I mean, we brought it up in the pre-race show. He hasn't been on iRacing all that long, but he's a veteran on the NASCAR Racing 2003 simulation, which is pretty close in a lot of aspects to iRacing. It was the foundation of iRacing at one point. So Chad knows what he's doing. He might not be a veteran at iRacing, but he's definitely a veteran with the basic code. That's the fundamentals of iRacing at this point. So, Chad's going to be in this championship hunt. His teammates are going to be in this championship hunt, being Crawford and Doucette and anyone else that's in here. So, they're going to be up front. And, I look for them to be strong this whole season. Crawford had some bad luck tonight, but really, Crawford is going to be a threat to win this championship. He's my pick to win this thing. But, Crawford, Doucette, and Lawton, they're going to have very similar setups. It's really going to be a toss-up between the three. So, definitely look out for Lawton during the season. He's going to be a threat, no doubt about it.
And when we look back on this race, you're going to see some guys that are going to run this full schedule. Dustin Montgomery, looking down at the bottom of this list, Casey Malone is another one, finishing outside the top 30. Landon Huffman finishing in 30th. Jarrett Crawford, 25th, one lap down. You look at some of those names back there, and you mentioned it off the top of the show as well. Yourself and John Adams struggled the first race and rebounded to get in to not only that top 25, but really made a charge at the end of the season. Watch for some of those guys to really do that as well.
No, yeah. You can, some of these guys, like you said, Crawford, another guy back here, Casey Malone, Danny Hansen, with all types of problems tonight, they can make it up. One race isn't going to kill them. They can use this as their drop, and they can rebound next week. And it's important to have a good team around you that'll build you up, that'll motivate you to keep going, even after something happens. And, everyone in this roster right now, they all have great teams, and I know they have a lot of support around them. So guys that didn't have such a great night tonight, they're going to be okay. But guys like Chad Lawton, who's going to come across their start-finish line right here and take round one of the 2012-2013 NIPS season, he's off to a great start. You cannot start the season any better than winning. So congrats to Chad Lawton, Carson Downs, whole top 5, whole top 10. Everyone tonight did a fantastic job here in this race. We had a great run through the middle of the race, and I think it exceeded everyone's expectations.
So Chad Lawton will take the cool-down lap here, and I'm sure he'll come back with what fuel is left and celebrate his NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series win, and it might not be the last NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series win of the season for the number 26 car. He's got a JDR Graphics logo on that race car. He's sponsored by SimRacingReview.com as he works down the back straight away, and he will be coming back to celebrate the win once again. We remind you to stay tuned for the post-race show. We will talk to your top 5 finishers and get their thoughts on round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series from the Daytona International Speedway, and we'll get their thoughts on the upcoming races and the upcoming schedule here in the 2012 campaign. Chad Lawton works up at a corner number 4, and we expect him to light him up here at the Daytona International Speedway as we will get his sights and sounds as we go to a quick commercial break. We will set up for the post-race show presented by JDR Graphics. We'll also have that Twitter winner after the break. He lights it up. Chad Lawton is your winner at Daytona. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
into a comfortable lead, coming out of 2. He's got about 8 car lengths. Put it half a second over Dwayne Vincent as Chad Cole works the number 2 spot.
Time is running out. Vincent's got it. Cole wants it to the wall. Chevrolet puts the bumper to the 13 of Vincent. Vincent not backing down. He's in second. You know, when we got one car on the bottom, the 10 cars.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR Welcome back to round number 1 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at the Daytona International Speedway. And what a show it was. Chad Lawton taking away the victory down in victory lane now with car number 26. Chad, congratulations. You are a winner in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series.
Thank you, Tim Terry. Appreciate everything you guys do over here, and thank you for ETV coming on to the broadcast for the Pro Series this season. And man, I think I got my first win.
Let's talk about the fuel strategy coming down to the end. The top 6 had broken away from the battle that was happening for 7th on back. You and Carson seem to have this thing mastered in these last few laps.
It was more Carson and J-Lo more than anything. I was most of my teammates had some problems during pit stops, and I was kind of left there alone, and I had to find someone. So I found Carson, and they had a strategy, and the only way I was going to have help was stay with him. And it looked like it obviously looked like it worked out pretty good. And I appreciate Carson and J-Lo for giving that pit strategy to me and giving me the win.
And how much fuel coming down to the end did you have left in that tank?
I believe we were 0.5 to the good. I think that's exactly what our calculation was, but that's I believe 8 laps prior to the finish line or before the caution came out. So it could have been less or it could have been more. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, Daytona's out of the way, the wild card's out of the way, you won that race. We head to 9 different racetracks coming up here in the next few weeks of this season. We start with Texas. We head to Phoenix, we head to Homestead. Let's do a little bit of forecasting here. Texas, Phoenix, Homestead, what are you expecting there? Can we rack up 3 more wins?
Racking up 3 wins is going to be tough. We got a lot of good competition. Some of the best drivers in Pro Series had some mistakes this race, and it'll be tough. And on top of that, I'm in the military, so I don't know if I'll be able to make every single race, but I think we'll be looking for top 10s, the races that I can run, and hope for the best.
Now you got some sponsors on your race car. Who makes it happen each week for Chad Lawton?
Gary Mercer Trucking, want to appreciate them for coming on board with me for this season. Willman Inc. I want to thank Tim Terry for coming on board as well. We'll have him on the car next week for sure. And everybody here at ETV and Shannon and everybody who gets this stuff done for the Pro Series.
There's your winner for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at the Daytona International Speedway. It is Chad Lawton driving car number 26. Mike Conti has caught up with driver number 97, Carson Downs.
So second place finisher Carson Downs. Carson, you ran a fantastic race. Tell us about the strategy that you played out at the end there at fuel and everything to get yourself up front.
After the caution on lap 12 and we went back green about 20 laps into the run, Jason Loafing said that we could make it on one more stop. So we pushed it until it was running out and we pitted and were able to make it to the end.
So that was definitely the strategy that prevailed in this race because of how the cautions fell. But we heard Chad's fuel reading at the end there. How close were you to making it on fuel?
Chad had it exact. It was a half a lap to the good when the caution came out at the end. If we had pushed it the final couple laps to keep ahead of Josh and Jeremy, it could have been a little less than that. But when the caution came out, that's where we were at.
Well, definitely a great run by you tonight. Just a quick question. I mean, I've worked with Jason a little bit before, but how is it to have a DWC caliber crew chief coaching you through an IPS race?
It was fun. The whole race, he was keeping us updated on where Dylan and Matt, Josh, and Jeremy were, telling us when to push it and when we could save fuel to keep ahead of them. So it made it a lot easier to get that finish.
Well, it looks like he definitely did his job, and it looks like you did your job quite well as well, Carson. So before I let you go, just let me know who makes it happen for you.
I'd like to thank Matt Salo with Pro Geek Consulting, Main Performance, PCs, and Obuto Cockpits, and all the guys on J-Show Motorsports for the setups and help this season.
All right, Carson, great run tonight. Best of luck next week at Texas. And I'm going to send it down to, I believe, Dakota. Have you caught up with someone?
Yes, sir. Jeremy R. Allen, your third place finisher. And Jeremy, didn't you, I believe you won in DWC, wasn't it? You won the Daytona 500, or the opener at Daytona, I mean?
Yeah, this is actually the same car, same exact setup. We just, we loaded it up and brought it here and qualified like 23rd. And we ran decent. I didn't think we'd had enough speed to win it, but pulled some strategy out with my teammate Josh Berry, and a wise man once said, if you run with the pack, you're going to stay with the pack, and that's how we just winged it.
I mean, running with the pack, staying with the pack, sure did. But what I watched at the end there was you and Josh Berry, Dylan DeVoe, and Matt Busa, whatever you want to call them. Y'all kind of fell off of the leaders there. I mean, it pulled away to 5 seconds, and at one point it was 3 seconds. What was happening there? You guys saving fuel, maybe?
Well, yeah, I had about 2 laps saved up there, and Josh had been leading for a long time, so we switched, and we were just saving fuel pretty much that whole last run. We would have made it, but the right decision there, hindsight 2020, would have been to just push. But you know, just Josh was about half lap to the good, and we wanted to make sure all of us made it because top 5 here is really good. Seeing how this is a wild card race for everybody, and even though I've won the last 2 plate races besides this one, it's wild card. Anything can happen. I thought we were going to get wrecked there about lap 7 when Josh Parker destroyed the field.
Well, with your third place finish tonight, how do you feel going into the next week? I
feel like we're pretty good. Our one-person shop, we should be doing okay. I think we got enough speed to run the top 15, top 10, make the top 25 at the end of the season.
And who makes that happen for you, finally?
Nobody really. We didn't get no sponsors this year. We didn't really push to get any sponsors on the car, but all my friends back at the Jump On at Motorsports, that's what makes it for me, getting on there every day and having fun. That's what it's about.
There you have it from your third place finisher. I'm actually going to pass it down to Batman Keaton.
Standing here with Josh Berry, fourth place finisher tonight at the Daytona International Speedway under the lights. Josh, you didn't qualify probably right where you wanted to, 27th rolling off the grid tonight. Wound up fourth place. Congratulations. How's it feel?
It was pretty good. We didn't have the speed in qualifying. Somebody left the cowl top on, and we weren't quite getting the horsepower, but it was still a pretty good run for us, and I'm just happy to finish one of these races.
Absolutely, and Josh got up there, led 12 laps, running pretty strong, showing some horsepower underneath that black Chevrolet that you got there. Finally, later in the race, it looked like Chad Lawton and Carson Downs getting a little bit of ahead of you, and I think you run with Jeremy Allen there. Talk to us about how they got away.
Well, honestly, we didn't really have any. We kind of fell into the strategy that we did, and we don't pay crew chiefs to watch the races or anything like that, so we were just kind of winging it. We're just going with it, and we ended up falling into a good strategy, and we decided to go for it and save there, and it worked out pretty good, obviously, but I think we were a little underestimating exactly how much we could get out of it. And they were able to push and get away, and that ended up being the difference because, they just kind of cat and moused us, and then they played it right, and we just was a little bit off there, but all in all, it was a good run.
And Josh, finally, Texas Motor Speedway coming up next Tuesday night. Are you concerned about Texas? Is Texas a fast track for your team, for you, or do you have some concerns about going into the qualifying for the race and so forth?
I guess. I don't know. I would just have to see how it was. I actually ran pretty good in the DWC there last year, so maybe we'll be able to back that up. But Texas is a pretty good track for me, and I guess if we actually try, we'll probably be pretty good.
All right, Josh, going to go ahead and give you a moment to thank you sponsors. Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody at Jump On It Motorsports. It was pretty much just me and Jeremy tonight, and we did a good job. I just want to thank Thomas Hazard for calling the race for me, and Mark Wolf spotting, and I think tire changes were Pat Fogle and Richie Davidowitz.
There you have it, folks, from the number 72 machine. Josh Berry finishing fourth tonight. Going to try to claw his way back into the DWC, hopefully if he can get a top 25 in the Pro Series. Next week, starting at Texas again. Going to send it down to Mike Conti, who's standing by with Dylan Duvall, who finished in the top 5.
So Dylan, a great run for you tonight, finishing in the top 5 in the wild card opener here at Daytona. Tell us your strategy going into tonight and how you carried it out through the race.
Thanks, Mike. I didn't really have a planned strategy. I knew I was gonna try to work with Matt Busa there, but it seemed like I ended up getting a pretty good qualifying run in. I worked really hard on the setup, and then I was up around the front, and it seemed like the wrecks were happening right behind me, so I was like, you know what, Matt, I'm just going to hang up here for a bit. It seems safer. And then eventually he worked his way up, avoided the wrecks, got up there with me, and we sort of rode and pitted under the second caution, I believe, and that put us right in the window to try to stretch it on just one green flag stop. And then with that, we were saving behind Jeremy and Josh, and we were just going to ride until we absolutely could go because we were that close on gas. Right when the caution came out, we were planning on making our move and just go for it and try to get up there and see if we could have caught them, but caution came out. But all in all, a top 5 is really a great way to start the season. Like you said, it's a wild card. You never know what's going to happen.
So you got through tonight at Daytona with a solid top 5. Going into next week at Texas, what are your expectations for your qualifying efforts next week and your race efforts?
Well, just throughout the season, I'm just going to try to aim for top 10s, try to keep the car clean, and see where I can finish in points in this thing. And main thing is just trying to keep the car clean, and my goal is going to be aiming for top 10s.
There you have it, everybody. That's Dylan Duvall. Before I let Dylan go, I'm going to give you a chance to thank your sponsors and thank the team.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone at Gale Force Racing for their help this week and opportunity they gave me and all their help through DWC last season. Also like to thank Stand Pro. They've been waiting for this series to get going, and it's great to have a strong first run for them in the Pro Series. Tim's Corner Motorsports, JDR Graphics, and you guys at ETV for picking up the NASCAR.com, NASCAR Pro Series. Sorry about that.
Alrighty, that's Dylan Duval, your 5th place finisher tonight. Best of luck to Dylan next week at Texas. I'm going to send it down to, I believe it's Tim Terry, who's caught up with Matt Busa.
Little bonus coverage here. We're going to talk to 6th place finisher Matt Busa. Matt, you and Dylan Duval had the tandem in the second half of that race. Talk about your Daytona adventure.
Yeah, me and Dylan had a really good partnership there throughout the race, and he pretty much summed up my race in his interview too. In the first 2 wrecks, they were right in front of me and had some nervous moments there. Had to dodge a few spinning cars. But after made it through that, and he came up with a plan to stay up front, so I pitted once and then stayed out on one of them at the second time by, and that got me some track position. And then just played it smart, kept the car clean, got up to him. And then with the fuel, we kept switching to see who would save more, and it looked like I had a little more fuel in the car than Dylan did. Maybe his gas man was a bit clumsy there, but so we decided to have him be up front because that would help him save fuel a little bit more. And I was just thinking big picture, and top 6 I'm thrilled with, especially in the wild cars.
Now, you qualified through the 2012 Season 3 for the Class A Series. Coming off 12 weeks of hard racing, you had 1 week off for Week 13, then you really start with Season 4 with this Pro Series. Does that give you a little bit of momentum knowing you raced the last 12 weeks and you head right back into it with this Pro Series?
Yeah, I think it does, especially because a lot of the tracks in the Pro Series we ran in the Season 3 Class A, so I've already got some setups depending on how this tire changes here. But I think with having raced 12 straight weeks and being in those big split races and having like that experience week in, week out, and some guys in the Pro Series, they might have taken it a bit easy, so I think it's a tiny bit of an advantage for sure.
Let's talk about next week. We head to Texas for 167 laps. What are your goals there, and can you notch your first win of the season at Texas?
Those mountain heifers have been a bit of a struggle for me, but as of Charlotte, I think I've dialed in the car for a mile and a half, so I'm sort of optimistic about it, hoping for a top 15 is my goal, and just gonna try to keep the car clean the first half of the race. You're probably gonna see me in the back just chilling out there, waiting for the wrecks to unfold, and then making my moves toward the end.
You got some sponsors on the car and a dedicated crew. Who makes it happen for you each week?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my gun Power Industries. They're an international transformer company. And I'd like to thank my team, Nexus Esports, run by Zach Hudson, and the guys who helped me with the sets, Joe Slama, Jason Burstein, Nick Sotner, and Jacob Fife from the Integrity Racing League. He's going to hop on board in the corner panels.
And that's Matt Busa coming home in position number 6 here this evening for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at the Daytona International Speedway. Had a lot of tweets come in with the hashtag NIPS Daytona. Our winner, as chosen by JD Laird at JDR Graphics, Kyle Brummett, 18. To take my girlfriend home or let her get in trouble and finish watching this race. Race wins, duh. I wonder if he's going to give his girlfriend the $15 iRacing gift card. As she's going to possibly get into a little bit of trouble. Kids these days. Mike Conti, final thoughts here from this evening. Great race at Daytona.
Yeah, great race. We had our first broadcast here tonight at the Pro Series, and we'll look back tonight and work on some things for next week, but it went really smooth. I enjoyed working with you, Tim, Mike Keaton, Dakota Erman down at Pit Road, John Westling doing all the stuff behind the scenes, JD Laird working on the graphic overlays, doing a fantastic job with that. Guys put on one heck of a show tonight. It's a shame that caution came out at the end. We were really gearing up to have a great finish with that main pack back there, 7th on deck. That was going to be fantastic. But, we're going to go into Texas next week. We're going to have a lot of fast guys up front once again, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get the same type of green flag runs in next week that we saw tonight, because green flag runs are always good to see.
Tell you what, guys, I was kind of excited with this race. It's Daytona's always good racing, really close racing. I think we saw a few wrecks in the beginning, but Daytona usually full of that. I was surprised that we went green flag racing through the rest of the race, but I'm excited for next week as well. I feel that Texas should provide some pretty good racing.
Yeah, and guys, this is setting the stage up for one fascinating Pro Series run for the DWC. Texas coming up, 8 other tracks after that. Can't wait to see who's going to win this thing. Can't wait to see who the top 25 is going to be, and can't wait to the DWC in 2013 with iRacing.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be one great run to the $10,500 and the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. It's going to be exciting to watch and an exciting Pro Series to follow here on ETV Live. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here this evening. I want to thank our dedicated crew, Mike Conti, J.D. Laird, Dakota Ehrman, Mike Keaton, and, of course, J.D. Webb and John Wessling. Without them, we would not be on the air this evening with them working behind the scenes. My name is Tim Terry, saying we will see you next week from the Texas Motor Speedway when we say, let's go racing, keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.